So he anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Married Femkyubi? So let's start the series. Naruto was surrounded by a few of his friends as Tsunade brought out a birthday cake. As he stared into the candles, he remembered he used to resent the day he was born every year. He remembered the scar and beatings he received when he was a kid as the flame flickered in his mind. Without knowing it, his eyes began to tear in front of all his smiling friends. Tsunade was the first to notice the tears in his eyes. "Naruto-kun, what's wrong?" Tsunade asked, looking into his eyes. She swore his eyes had dulled from blue to absolute black. Tsunade gasped as she could see the darkness in his eyes absorb all the sadness in the world. Ino and Sakura had noticed as well, followed by Hinata, Kiba, Kakashi, and the rest of the group of people that crowded his apartment. They all saw the dark in his eyes as Tsunade tried to snap him out of it. Naruto couldn't hear her or anyone. The black aura his body produced seemed to start to affect everyone. Soon everyone in the room felt the burdens, a glimpse of the pain, and fears Naruto carried. Naruto's mind heard a voice as his body lay down in front of the cage that he knew so well. He heard the voice of the masculine Kyubi call out to him. "So the kid has returned. To what do I owe this pleasure?" Naruto kept his eyes closed. Moments flew by as the Kyubi got more impatient. "What's the matter, Kit? Cat got your tongue? If he doesn't, I'll be happy to take it from your mouth." The voice once again spoke as a pair of gleaming eyes watched over him. "Hey Kit, this may be your mind, but you're in my domain and..." Naruto had enough. Naruto lunged forward into the cage and punched the Kyubi in the neck. His anger clouded his judgment as he didn't notice the silky feel of the Kyubi's fur as he gripped the fur to hold on. "Shut up. Just shut the hell up for once," Naruto begged, crying into her fur. "You got a death wish or something? Coming in here and attacking me like that?" Kyubi said, pissed off. Naruto continued to cry into the fur as his grip tightened on the fur. "Answer me," Kyubi demanded as Naruto's mind was nearly ready to break. "It's all your goddamn fault, you asshole fox." Kyubi growled at him. "What the hell did you say to me?" She got pissed and wanted to shake him off as she heard his voice crack. "What the hell did I ever do to deserve the treatment of this village? What the hell did I do? My friends help null the pain, but I can never fully get rid of it." He began pounding at her skin again. "It's your fault all this happened. It's your damn fault because you are such a heartless piece of shit." The means a pounding of Kyubi's skin, Naruto cried as he continued to pound at her neck. Kyubi understood the boy's rage, but something inside her felt sorry for him, some feeling like she deserved anything he did to her. With her anger slowly subsiding, watching the nearly broken Naruto stab at her neck with an imaginary knife, he began to remember the darkness that plagued him. The cold rain started beating down in Konoha as Naruto found himself another cardboard box to crawl into for the night, or so he had hoped. A woman slowly approached the alleyway with a metal dulled-edge kitchen knife. She turned down the alleyway as she was told this is where the monster slept in the rain. No one bothered him during the rain here. It was hoped he'd catch hypothermia and die. She approached the box, seeing Naruto shiver in fear and of his body feeling freezing under the conditions. She kicked the box, watching as the box flew over the fence behind him. Naruto's eyes widened with fear as he tried to crawl away. She lunged forward like she was undead and grabbed him. She spun him around and slammed him into the muddy concrete, nearly smashing the back of his skull. He stared up at her and watched as she began to cry on top of him. "His name was nothing. I had just given birth to a beautiful baby boy and I hadn't even named him yet." She cried down at Naruto. "I heard him cry as they checked him. He was perfect, they said." Naruto turned his head to see the knife gleaming from the nearby street light. "Then the roof of the hospital collapsed and I watched as they took him out of the room to be crushed later by debris. I wondered for such a long time what he did to deserve that fate. What did I ever do to deserve such a thing?" She watched his eyes cower in fear of the knife. She looked over at the instrument, the tool she carried. "They say you are the creature that killed my son that day." They say you are a monster that needs to die in order for there to be justice done for who were lost on that day. She looked back down at him with cold dead eyes. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I don't care at this point. If you aren't, I'll end your life so you won't have to live in pain anymore. If you are the monster that did this to me, I'll have my justice. She lifted the knife above her head. Naruto wanted to run but was paralyzed in fear. I swear I didn't do anything. I'm not a monster. I'm just a kid. She looked down at his in almost pity. So was he. She said, slamming the knife down into his stomach. Naruto screamed louder than he ever did before as she thrusted the dull knife over and over again downwards into his skin, blood flying everywhere. She thrusted for the last time not to hear a sound come out of him. She looked down as the alley, including the walls, were splashed painted with a crimson mask. Naruto's body lay gashed in fresh wounds. Sticky blood flowed from his wounds and mouth as he lay there motionless. She placed her hands together. If there is a God, or gods. If there is a higher power, forgive me and forgive this child or demon. I know not which he is, but I'm sure he's in your hands right now. Judge him as he is and by his actions through his life. She said, splitting her two hands apart and walking away. Naruto lay there in his pool of blood, the Kyuubi barely able to save him as his wounds slowly heal. Just let me die, whatever you are, just let me die. Naruto begged as he knew something was healing him. He blacked out as more than 2x his entire body worth of blood had been spilled. Why? He thought. Why? He stared at the Kyuubi's neck and began to thrust down as she did to him all those years ago. Kyuubi barely felt it but can tell he was losing it. Kit, calm the hell down. Kyuubi roared at him but he remained in the trance. Kit! Kyuubi screamed Kit. She screamed using her paw to swat him off her. His body flew into the bars and fell lifelessly to the floor. Shit. I did that too hard. Kyuubi said, not sure it was out of self-preservation or something more. She looked down at his body and found that he was motionless as he stared into darkness, in which his heart had been overcome with. Kyuubi knew that look in his eyes. Snap out of it, Kit! She once again roared at him. She saw no movement in his body. She bit her lip. Damn it, Kit! She said, transforming herself into her naked human form. She ran over to him after opening her round eyes. Kit, get the hell up! Kit! She raised her hand and slapped him hard against the face. Naruto snapped out of it. Looking at the ground of the cell, he tried to recall where he was. He looked up to the girl that was holding him. Who are you? He said, forgetting where he was. Hold still, I'm going to heal you. She began to heal the essence that is Naruto as his mind and thoughts returned to him. He looked around to notice he was in the Kyuubi's cage. Naruto's eyes shot open as he looked back at the girl healing him. You're the damn fox, aren't you? Kyuubi tried to not let it show that comment hurt her. You're a girl. Kyuubi sighed. Yes, Naruto, I'm a girl. Got a problem with that? Naruto shook his head no. Good, now let me help you. She boldly claimed as that comment sent a wildfire through Naruto's mind. Help? You want to help? Naruto said, feeling his anger take him over again. Go lie in a fucking ditch and die. He saw now, swatting her hand away from him. Hey, what the hell, Kit, that kind of hurt. She said, looking over at the boy. Bullshit. If you had just one scrap of kindness or good in you, then why did the villagers attack me thinking I was you? They just too damn happy to see you. Kid, I made some mistakes, can't you at least forgive me and we clean the slate? No, I'm tired of all this. I'm sick and tired of having you inside of me. Kyuubi's pointed ear bent down hearing Naruto like this. Just tell me how to get you the hell out of me. Naruto screamed, looking around the cage for something, then remembered the seal on the bars. Is that it, huh? Naruto yelled, pointing to the seal. Kit, calm down. I won't. Naruto screamed, almost scaring her. I'm not a monster, Kit, I have a heart and soul just like you. Kyubi said, hearing Naruto chuckle and laugh like he was a madman. Well, the Kyubi no Kitsune has a heart, huh? What is it, the size of a damn pea? Raisin? He chuckled some more. And she has a soul, she says. Well, I hope it burn in hell. He suddenly got loud. She slapped him across the face. That's enough. I admit I haven't always been good, but I want to redeem myself. Naruto's head went limp after the slap. Then finish what you started with me. Kyubi got confused, wondering if he was still in his insanity. I will release you, you will kill me and never return to this place again. No. She said, cutting him off. Place again and you will. No. She once again stated. He grabbed her by the shoulder and pulled her close so their eyes were close. If you have a heart, if you have a scrap of goodness in you, then you will end it for me. You won't let me live the rest of my damned life unhappy. After a moment of pause, he continued again. How can I continue to live knowing I'll always be alone because of you? Even my friends fear me at some point because of you and your power. Let alone I'll never find someone to love. What point would be there to live? He demanded, tell me. He yelled, his voice breaking and tears falling from his eyes. Naruto, then how about I redeem myself by pledging my loyalty to you? I'll be yours to command until the end of your days. I'll be by your side no matter what. You may do whatever you deem fit to me. You may use me as a tool to fight for you. Anything you want, it will be yours. I will obey you without question. Naruto looked at the cage floor for a second. Then take it a step further. Was that possible? If you truly want to make me happy and redeem yourself, then help me get a girlfriend so I can be happy for once in my life. Kyubi thought about it for a moment. Just once in my life I want to know how not to be alone at night. For once. Naruto shouted. Kyubi was somewhat hurt that he never considered her to be there for him, but at the same time knew she knew what she was and most of what she had done. She wasn't a saint and did try on many occasions to kill him. She sighed. So all you want me to do for you to forgive me, is to find you a girlfriend? Kyubi's heart was almost screaming, pick me. Pick me. Naruto nodded. Kyubi's life was empty too. She wanted to be human, to live and love. Not be some monster that everyone is afraid of. It is what made her heart love Naruto so much. He would demand things of her, never afraid of her. He would barge into her cage like he was king, and to her, he was. She loved the fact she wasn't feared for once in her life. In return, she would give Naruto what he wanted, her power. After he left her, every time she wondered just what kind of boy he is. As the years went by, he came often demanding her power or sometimes asking. She almost enjoyed giving it to him as a reward for being so brave. She wanted to date this boy, she wanted to know everything that she didn't already know. She wanted him. Will you do it? Naruto asked, looking into her eyes. Kyubi wanted to say she already found him a girlfriend, she would do it. She wanted to beg him to take her as his girlfriend, slave, whatever he wanted of her, but her personality at doing this was one of only cruelty and harshness. She thought about it for a moment, trying to find the right words. Will you? Kyubi decided on the best course of action. I will, but only if you let me out of this cage. Naruto scoffed. I'm not stupid, I know I was angry before and I said something about letting you out, but I was angry. I won't let you out that easy. Naruto explained. Kyubi smiled, at least he wasn't dumb. Then how about putting me on a leash and... Damn her kinky side, she had to watch her words. She was lucky she stopped herself from saying some obscene things. And only allow me certain things in reward for helping you. Phew, that was tough to say without her mind going hentai. While she had never mated, her mind still thought of these things. What do you mean? Kyubi materialized a contract from nowhere. This contract will allow you to control just how much freedom I get. When you sign it you will, for lack of a better term, own me. You will take out the contract and tell it what I am allowed to do. I then may only do what you tell it I can do. If you tell it I can't breathe for example, I won't be able to breathe. I did list in here basics that I'm allowed to do. Such as talk, walk, eat, sleep etc. She looked at him before sticking her arm out to him. Will you do it? Naruto took the scroll hesitantly and read the entire thing, nearly pissing off Kyubi from waiting so long. What do I do to sign it? Kyubi pointed to the bottom of the paper. Sign it like you would a summon contract and then issue the command word of activate. Naruto put his name down first, then placed his bloodied hand down on the scroll. He looked up at Kyubi before issuing the command word. Activate. He watched as his blood glowed as it became sealed in the paper itself. Then a small symbol of the fox appeared above it also in blood, but not his. Kyubi felt the change occurring as her body reacted to the deal they had struck. She looked down at him, still kneeled over the contract. May I ask you to let me out of your body now? She asked, putting on a smile. Naruto thought about it for a moment. What could it hurt? She was already bound to him. So how do I do that? Like I said before, tell the scroll what I am allowed to do, but only you are allowed to tell it. Naruto looked down at the scroll. Scroll thing, the Kyubi no Kishun may leave my body and the seal but only when I let her. The scroll glowed. Naruto smiled but turned around as he heard the emergence of fire on the cage itself. He watched as the seal on the cage burned away and was replaced by a new seal. He turned back around to Kyubi, who had a smile on his face. Can we finish this outside please? I'd rather not be in the place anymore. I've seen too much of it. Naruto nodded and they found themselves outside his mind and body. Naruto returned to see all his friends gathered around him. You're finally awake. Tsunade said with a large sigh. I was worried about you there. What happened? Before Naruto could let words ring from his mouth. I can answer that. Kyubi said, drawing the attention of all Naruto's guests as they turned around to see a 6 feet 11 inches naked woman. Every guy in the place fainted from a fountain of blood spurting from their noses as the girls' mouths dropped at the naked sight. Tsunade was the only one to notice that her round crimson eyes with slit pupils with hair of orange and red weaved beautifully into a long thick hair that put any fiery redhead to shame. She stood arms crossed against her nipples. Kiba smelled that she reeked of foxes, which either meant she was a fox or bathed with them. Kiba never thought of the correct answer but was forced to decide to confront her about it. So just who the hell are you? You smell like foxes and you body is. Kiba sniffed one more time. Kiba blushed at what he smelled. She was aroused and furthermore, she was near leaking. None of you need to know who I am. Just know that Naruto is my primary goal. She said, trying to walk forward but was stopped by a kunai to her throat by Tsunade. Why do you want to get in my way? Kyubi asked, getting pissed at the reception she was given. Who do you work for? Tsunade demanded, putting the kunai into her throat on the verge of breaking skin. Kyubi growled, which made Tsunade realize she wasn't just another woman as she slit her throat to find a shadow clone. How the hell does she know that? Kyubi laughed, re-emerging next to Naruto. Because Naruto here taught it to me. Tsunade looked at Naruto like she wanted to rip off his head for teaching an enemy ninja, or whatever she was, such a forbidden jutsu. Bachan, this isn't what you think. She's... Naruto wanted to not say who she really was. A friend of mine that I've known for a very long time. It seemed to fly as most of Naruto's friends lowered their weapons. So how come we've never seen her? Naruto was screwed. He couldn't think of a response to that. Let's just say that I've known Naruto for a long time but never really hung out with him much. He comes to visit me often to ask for favors. I've probably never been seen because when we are together it's in a secret place. Pretty much the truth but not quite everything. Perfect. Naruto sighed in relief. Then why are you here now and why are you naked? Tsunade continued on. I'm here now 'cause it's his birthday. Why I am naked? I've never worn cloths and hope never to wear them. They are itchy and I tear them, and my back, to shreds when I wear them. Naruto sighed in relief that Kyubi was really smart. You could just wear a little. Tsunade said, looking at the fact she didn't even bother to cover her most sensitive parts. Why the hell would I? Not like these kids are never going to see what a woman looks like. She said, almost deliberately spreading her legs out just a smudge more. Besides, it's fun to watch human males fall back in nosebleeds. Kyubi started laughing, not realizing her screw-up with the word human. What do you mean human males? Tsunade demanded once more. Kyubi stopped laughing, realizing her mistake. She smiled and wanted to unleash all 9 of her tails and scare the living shit out of them, but they were Naruto's friends, so, not right now. As that boy said, I reek of foxes, and that is because I am known to you as a demon. Suddenly everyone other than Naruto gasped and stared at the girl wide-eyed. Tsunade put 2 and 2 together. A demon, foxes. You don't mean you're the... Tsunade said, reaching into her back pocket to try and find something to help them subdue her. She felt a clone of the woman stop her hand as she held it behind her back. No wonder why you're the Hokage, you're just so smart. Kyubi mocked as she wrenched her arm. Tsunade screamed as Kyubi grinned at the power she had over the woman. Naruto gritted his teeth as he had to stop her. Kyubi-chan is not allowed to touch Ba-chan. Naruto screamed, hoping that the scroll heard him. It did. Kyubi grunted in terror as a bolt of lightning struck her arm through Tsunade and threw her into the wall. Kyubi growled as 2 of her tails emerged, her eyes became sliced and her skin letting off orange chakra. Don't ruin my fun like that, Naruto. She growled at him. Then stop hurting my friends. Naruto yelled at her. Or I swear you will never see the outside again. Naruto continued to threaten her. Kyubi didn't want it to end like this. She wanted him to love her, not to hate her, but her fun side wanted to play around with them. She didn't want to hurt anyone, but she got carried away. Please forgive me, Naruto. I haven't been out in a while. I got carried away. Everyone's eyes turned back to Naruto, who was calming down slightly, but he was still mad at her. The question on everyone's mind now was, what the hell is going on? But it was once again Tsunade who spoke up first. You can control her? Tsunade said, making the connection between his wording before and her response to it, along with the fact after he said it she was thrown into a wall and blamed Naruto for it. He can control what I can and can't do. His father made sure of that. Kyubi said, drawing the attention back to her, and this time without tails or chakra hovering around her. He told me so on the day he died. Flashback. Minato stood on top of Gambunta finishing the preparations for sealing the Kyubi away. He knew that the 9-tailed fox couldn't die while on this realm of existence. She may only be killed where she was created, where she was born. Only while there may she die, but she can be sealed away. Kyubi watched as Gambunta charged her and she dodged with ease when suddenly the control over her was broken. She now stood confused as to what was happening. She remembered something happened, then nothing. There was nothing to explain why she was bloodied and in this world. She saw as Minato screamed as she felt her very being ripped as she was pulled into a newborn child with yellow hair. Jiraiya was too late to give Minato the message about her. It was done and there was nothing he could do to stop his death. Jiraiya swore on that day, he would bring the person responsible for this down. Jiraiya ran to the place where Minato and Naruto lay side by side in the rubble of a ruined building outside the Leaf Village that Kushina and Minato would go to have a nice relaxing, romantic evening. Forgive me, Naruto-kun. I'm not going to be around you to see you become the great man I know you will be. Your mother and I saw so much potential in you the day you were born. We had such dreams and hopes for you. We wish we could have been there for you. I only wish that you were old enough to hear this. Minato noticed Jiraiya standing outside the rubble. Minato-sama, the Kyubi was being controlled, she wasn't doing this by choice. Minato smiled. I already knew that. Jiraiya grew wide-eyed. Then why did you? Jiraiya wasn't sure what to think right now. Because she will help him, she must help him. When I learned of the Kyubi's attack, it sounded nothing like what she would do. The 9 tails can get enraged, but out of the blue like this was too strange. I figured whoever was controlling her must be an Uchiha. They hadn't really liked us very much lately, but at the same time their brothers and sisters were in the fight as well. They died, so I wondered who could it be. The only way anyone would ever know would lie in my son. She knows the answers. It is why I sealed her in my son. He will not be her jailer, but her protector. He will guide her and make sure that next time we are prepared against such an attack. She will do this because she will be with him. We expect great things from you, Naruto-kun. He placed a kiss on the forehead of the child. It's up to you now, to carry on our names. Minato's mouth began to bleed blood as he knew Jiraiya had started calling out to him but could no longer hear him. You are my son, you will be this village's greatest. Minato fell to the floor with a smile upon his face. Hero, Hokage and legend. Minato's eyes never closed as Jiraiya began to shake him and cried as he watched Minato's life die from his eyes. After Tsunade arrived, she shook her head and declared him dead. She looked over at the baby boy and asked what Minato wanted for him. Jiraiya looked over at the boy, while knowing it was Minato's son, couldn't help but feel hate for the boy causing the death of one of his closest friends and teacher. He wanted to say he wanted him dead but looked at Minato's smile and figured at the least he can do is want his son safe. He remembered the words he spoke, telling Jiraiya that he was sacrificing himself for his son. His son will live. End of flashback. Naruto's friends nearly teared up listening to the story of Minato's final plight. His son has become all of that. He has always been this village's greatest hero and mine as well. Minato-sama's sacrifice wasn't just to protect himself and the village. It was to protect everyone, including myself. Naruto-kun has complete control over me because Minato-sama wanted him to protect me from those who would use me against you. Everyone looked at Tsunade, who looked down towards the floor. Is that true, Tsunade-sama? Tsunade nodded. Jiraiya told me the same thing a long time ago. I wasn't sure before that was true, but I suppose it is. Tsunade turned to Naruto. Your father left this for you. Tsuanda said, taking out an envelope that he could tell had been put through 19 years of weather. I haven't read it and I wasn't sure you were ready yet, but I guess you are. Naruto took the letter as he carefully opened it. Everyone gathered around as he began to read the worn note. Hey son, I know you probably already know that I died from the sealing of the nine-tailed fox, and if not, I told Jiraiya-kun to burn this message. Since you are reading this, it means I did die and the Kyubi no Kitsune is sealed inside of you. I know it will be hard to understand why but let me explain something about her. The Kyubi no Kitsune is a magnificent woman. She is fiercely loyal and provided me with some laughs from time to time. I say this because what I am about to tell you not even the Hokage truly understands. A long time ago, back when the village was first created, the first Hokage had all 9-tailed beasts sealed inside rings, which he used to make himself extremely powerful. He gave tailed beasts to other forming villages as a sign of friendship and loyalty, but always kept the 9 tails to himself. She spoke to him through the ring he wore and struck a deal with him. She would be set free in return for her loyalty to the leaf as its secret protector. She kept her word for many years and from time to time stopped in to check on the progress in the village. We never really did find out where she went all the time, but she stayed within the village. Mostly dressed as a civilian. I tell you this because despite her first attitude towards you, she will come to love you, I know it. Anyway, I sealed inside you, with her, the scroll you can use to control her movements until she settles down. She has a worse temper than your mother, you know. The paper seems to have indications of a struggle as he tried to make out what happened. He continued down the page until he found words he could understand. Sorry about that, I don't have time to write a new page and your mother is mad at me right now. Just know that we both love you and know you will come to do great things for this village. Our village and home. Love always. Your mother and father, Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto cried for a moment before standing up and walking towards the Kyubi. She watched him as he slowly dragged his feet across the room and approached her. No one moved as Naruto's hair fell in front of his face and spoke. My father, what was he like? He said softly. She wouldn't have heard him if she didn't have a cute sense of hearing. A brilliant man who in many times asked for my assistance in battle. He created a jutsu that made him known as the Yellow Flash, and with me at his side we helped defeat many enemies. And my mother? Naruto asked with tears still streaming down his face. A near replica of me. She was smart and well educated, mannered and always knew how to draw a smile out of people. You remind me a lot of her. She had a bad temper if you ever saw it, but most of the time she was well spoken. She never shut up once about how much she said she would love you after you were born. She would always rub her stomach and say that she felt your very life inside her, and that would brag how he would become such a noble and respectable man like his father. She paused to watch it soak into Naruto's mind. She then smiled and chuckled. Everyone would tell her she was crazy, but she was right after all. You became strong and loyal to your friends. You have the respect of all of them through earning it. You have truly become what your father and mother expected of you. Naruto began to cry softly, gradually becoming louder as he heard more. Naruto's voice cracked, but he still spoke. Kyubi-chan. He said, startling her with the th-chan. Please forgive me. He said, wrapping a large hug around her, and cried into her shoulder. Kyubi didn't mind, she was expecting Naruto to break down sooner. It's alright, Naruto-kun. I'll be there for you. She said, throwing her naughty thoughts aside and giving him a hug back. Tsunade watched as most of his friends couldn't believe what they saw or heard, but it was only the beginning. Naruto couldn't or wouldn't stop crying into Kyubi's shoulder as his friends felt a twisting of all their hearts. It was bad enough to see Naruto in such pain, but crying, something they swore they would never see. Tears that fell when they were little that he was not allowed to shed. Tears from when growing up and wanting to cry but couldn't. Tears that made all but the monsters that inhabit the world want to weep. Kyubi held him close to her heart as it was twisting in pain. She let a few tears fall from her eyes as he didn't care what it looked like, as long as she just never let go. It would kill him to let her go. Tsunade sighed and tried to not to cry at all as she needed to be strong. Alright, I would ask that anyone in here that listened to not repeat that to anyone. But why? The truth is, many enemies that Minato-sama made would love to get their hands on Naruto-kun. Even though the Akatsuki aren't around anymore, there are still many people that would pay any amount to kill you, Naruto-kun. The Kyubi will protect you, I suppose. Kyubi nodded her head, looking down at the blonde-haired boy. Since you already heard everything, I can't ask you to sign a paper waiving your right to speak freely about it. I could order you all to not speak a word or you will die, but I don't think any of you will do that, am I right? Everyone at some point nodded. Good. I only wish that I could get you two absolved of all the dark deeds cast upon you two, but... Tsunade's head tilted downwards. Don't worry about us. We'll be strong. Kyubi said, looking down at the boy. Isn't that right? She paused, rather liking the idea. Naruto-kun? Naruto slowly calmed down and lightly pushed away from her. He cleared his eyes and nodded his head. Yeah, Bachan, don't you worry. Kyubi-chan. Naruto didn't have second thoughts of what he was about to say, is my friend now. Good to hear it. Now let's finish this up before we get all teary-eyed. After all, it is your birthday. I gave everyone the day off to be here so we could give you this party. Tsunade said, smiling at the boy. Naruto smiled, wiping more tears from his eyes. You're right, Bachan. Let's get this party started. Naruto screamed, trying to cheer everyone up, which he did as always. Time skip 4 hours later. Naruto smiled as Sakura stood in the doorway getting ready to leave. You take care of yourself, Naruto-kun, okay? Sakura said, smiling at him. Don't worry about me, Sakura-chan, I'll be alright. Naruto said, gleaming a smile back at her. She turned to leave but stopped. Oh, and don't take this the wrong way, she said, turning and kissing him on the cheek. Extra gift, but only 'cause it's your birthday. Then I can't wait for next year's present. Naruto smiled at her, causing her to giggle. We'll see, she said, turning and leaving. Bye. Naruto felt his cheek and smiled softly. He closed the door and turned around to see the Kyubi. He snapped out of his dream and focused on Kyubi. What's going on, Kyubi-chan? He asked as she looked at him with a frown on her face. Nothing. Just, nothing. She said, letting her pride get in the way of how she felt again. Oh, alright then, how about we go to bed? Naruto said, nearly throwing Kyubi in a sexual frenzy. What? She said, looking over at him. Walk towards the bedroom. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I assumed you would want to as well. Naruto said, leaving the door open to his bedroom. Shit. I got to stop thinking like this. She thought before walking into the bedroom as he took off all his cloths except his boxers, which he climbed into bed with. He looked over at the doorway where she stood and moved over to the side of the bed. Did you want to join me? Naruto asked innocently. Keep talking like that, Kit, and I swear. She stopped her train of thought there as she walked over and took her rightful place at his side. She had her back to him as she laid down next to him, occasionally looking over at him. Kit. I wish I could tell you how I feel, but it would never work between us. You may like me now, but I'm... She shook the memories she had from her mind and concentrated on sleeping tonight. It wasn't enough as she found herself looking over at the blonde boy sleep his cares away. Kyubi took in a deep breath and exhaled as she wondered just what her heart got her into. In the morning she found herself in bed alone as she rolled over to bid him good morning but instead found bed sheets. Her senses then kicked in as she found her way to the kitchen to find eggs and toast on the table. I thought you only eat ramen? Kyubi asked, surprised he had anything other than that. Naruto turned to greet her. Good morning to you as well, Kyubi-chan. She blushed slightly as Naruto accepted her into his life so easy. She remembered how just the other day he hated her. She smiled as she sat down at the table. Plus I did make ramen for myself, but I wanted to give you a normal breakfast. He didn't understand why people didn't eat ramen for breakfast but figured that he'd be nice and suck it up for once. He took his bowl of ramen to the table and began to eat after doing a quick thanks. They sat quietly as Kyubi thought of a way to make a relationship work. She kept thinking it was doomed to fail because she was a demon. She's lived for thousands of years and never found it working between a mortal such as Naruto and herself. She would do anything to want a relationship with him. He was so different than anyone she had tried to have to herself before. She never had sex, she never had a man's body to lie beside hers at night to cradle her and to hold her. Naruto noticed something wrong and stopped eating his ramen to ask her about it. What's wrong, Kyubi-chan? Kyubi looked at him, noticing she hadn't eaten her breakfast he made her. I was just thinking. She couldn't say it, she couldn't do it. She couldn't tell him how she felt. She could tell him how much she wanted to jump across this table and hold him and beg him to take her as her boyfriend. She did get an idea on what to do to get it though. On how I promised you I'd help you get a girlfriend. I want to take you shopping today to get some new cloths. Naruto smiled and scratched the back of his head. Oh yeah, you did promise me that. Naruto said cheerfully. Thanks for reminding me. They finished their meal in relative silence. Kyubi put on some of his clothes that covered her skin up. That's really all that could be said. She didn't bother to wear his boxers, so the lining of one of his baggy pants kept rubbing up her crotch, making her agitated. She wore an orange and black t-shirt that had her two nipples poking through the shirt. Naruto nearly got a nosebleed at staring at her nipples. She cleared her throat but secretly blushed and enjoyed him looking at her body. It made her feel like he wanted her, which gave her hope. Naruto blushed and tried to stop staring at her. So when are we going? Naruto said, trying to think of something else. Well, I'm going to need some cloths as well if that's alright with you. Naruto nodded. Of course. Kyubi thanked Kami because she was going to be able to get some comfortable clothes that didn't make her want to jump on Naruto to relieve her tension. She walked down the street trying to walk differently but found it difficult to do without looking like she was crazy. She put on a smile and wanted to cry, feeling the inside of his pants rub against her sensitive nub. They reached a small row of stores as she desperately wanted to find a cloth store, and thank Kami there was one at the beginning. She ran in and looked around, digging through cloths like her life depended on it. She found some clothing and ran into the dressing room. She couldn't help but feel turned on at all the stimulation she received on the way here but decided not to release in a public place. No. She would try to get it later. No, she couldn't. She couldn't even tell him how much she wanted to hold him, let alone tell him she loves him. She looked around and figured that she'd have to be quick. She began to help herself before Naruto knocked on the door. Hey Naruto didn't want to say, Kyubi-chan, in public. Sweetie. Was the only thing he could think of. I don't know if you'd like it, but I got you some cloths to try on if you want. Damn him and his blissful innocence. She wished she could take that innocence away from him in this dressing room, but at the cost of feeling and probably acting like a total whore. Just throw it over and I'll try it on. She said without hinting that she was wanting to relive herself in the stall. She saw the cloths fly over and hit the floor. She couldn't do this now, not here. If you want, I'll just find something else for you. In case you don't like that. Naruto asked, trying to be a good date. He seriously didn't know how to act like one. He wanted to ask her, but so far all she did was act like he was doing stuff wrong. Sure, you can if you want. Alright. Naruto said, about to walk away. Kyubi pulled on a pair of panties he threw over to see how much better it would be than just wearing pants. They were silky and comfortable. She was about to ask if they had any more of these when Naruto spoke up. I was wondering. Am I doing something wrong? He was embarrassed when he saw some of the other girls going in to try cloths looked at him like, you better get the hell out. Kyubi opened the door and pulled him inside. Before he could ask why, he was slammed against the wall. Naruto-kun. You are perfect in every single way and you couldn't screw up even if you slammed me up against the wall and did me here. Is what she wanted to say but couldn't. You didn't do anything. Unless I tell you that you did, you didn't. She nearly wanted to cry, not being able to tell him the truth, but she buried it deep inside her. But you've been so distant with me. You promised me you'd help me find a girl, but all you've done is run away from me. Kyubi wanted to say how she felt. How am I going to get a girl like Sakura-chan if you don't help me? Kyubi filled with rage. Just get out of here, Naruto. Kyubi yelled, lowering her head. But you. Out. She screamed, nearly slamming him through the door. Kyubi watched as Naruto ran away from her. She fell to her knees and began to cry. Damn it. She said, realizing she let her pent-up emotions get a hold of her. She cursed herself some more before standing up to run and find him. She searched all day trying to find him after promising the store clerk to pay her back for some cloths. Kyubi felt like shit. She couldn't find him anywhere. She headed back to his apartment where she found his door unlocked and him sleeping on the couch. She saw the dried tears on his cheek and felt guilty about putting him through all this. She noticed he had a light blanket over him and wanted to wake him up, but felt it better to just leave him be. I am such a baka. I'm hurting him more than helping him. She watched him sleep for a while before feeling like she deserved to be locked up inside him for another 19 years. She turned away and started heading towards the bedroom. I'm sorry, Kyubi-chan. She looked behind her to find his two eyes staring at her. I promise I'll be better tomorrow, alright? He said, nearly bringing tears to her eyes. You baka. I screwed up. She wanted to say she was sorry, but it came out all wrong. Whatever, just be ready tomorrow. Naruto nodded and pulled the covers back over him. I left you the bed because I know I screwed up. She was lucky she shut the door after hearing that, because she fell to her knees and covered her mouth. She began to cry lightly as she heard him toss and turn on the couch. I want to tell him so bad. I want to, but every time I try I think of how much it hurt trying to get into a relationship before. She became so deep in thought nearly an hour passed by before she heard him snoring in the other room. She turned around and peeked out the door to find him lying down in the most uncomfortable position. She looked at the floor and closed the door. I'm hurting him too much. I have to get him someone. I have to give him a girl to love and never think of me again. Kyubi said, lying down in the bed. It's the only way. Kyubi fell asleep sometime later. Morning. Kyubi felt the sun shine on her face as she rolled out of bed and rubbed her eyes. She walked over to the door and opened it. She was determined to start to really train him on how to make a girl like him. She looked around the room and found a cold breakfast on the table with a note. She walked over and began to read it. Dear Kyubi-chan, I don't know if you want me calling you Chan or not, but I'm going to use it for right now if that's alright with you. I'm sorry about last night and I wanted to make it up to you with breakfast but you were asleep. I didn't want to wake you up so you were mad at me. I left to find you some cloths and pay the clerk the shopping bill you left with yesterday. I would ask you to stay here until I return but I don't want to make you madder at me than yesterday so I'll be back when I can. Uzumaki Naruto. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. She screamed realizing just how much she hurt him. She banged on the table sending food everywhere and nearly splitting the table in half. She cried as she felt worse than shit making him feel like this. Forgive me Naruto-kun, forgive me. She had to find him and tell him to put her back in her cell. She couldn't take any more of this. She ran off to find him, to Naruto. Naruto was passing by some shops in search of the perfect, I'm sorry gift. He wasn't sure what to get her. He noticed Tenten up the road opening up shop today. Maybe she might know what to do. He walked into the shop and found Tenten pulling out a large box from the back. She placed it down and wiped a small sweat from her forehead before noticing who came into her shop. Hey Naruto-kun, what's up? Tenten asked, watching Naruto look around the shop. Not much, but I was wondering if you could help me find a gift for someone. Tenten-chan. Tenten perked up her head. Girl or boy? Tenten asked because Naruto did know he was in a weapons and armor shop. Some armor they buy for shinobi that's usually expensive as hell but well worth it. Girl, she complains about her cloths itching and stuff. It needs to be soft but durable. Tenten laughed and wondered why he said durable. Well, if you're married to the girl Naruto-kun, she pointed to a display case featuring a black and red silk kimono dress. You could get her that. Naruto looked over at the case and looked at the dress. It's a man-made battle dress, completely light with steel fabric woven into every thread, expertly made to defect kunai and shuriken while maintaining the appearance of a civilian attire. The robe has over 10 different pockets to store all sorts of stuff, including 4 scroll pockets and built-in shuriken holders. Tenten began to ramble a little. It's a masterpiece in terms of shinobi armor. I tried to convince my father to let me try it on, not let me have it, but just let me try it on, and he refused. She sighed. I felt the fabric and it was like lotion soft. She said in a daydreaming state. I'd marry you if you got me that dress. She said with a small smile on her face. Really? Naruto said, looking back at her. No, but I'd certainly forgive you for anything you did to me. Tenten stated. Other than that, I really can't imagine anything in here that would interest her, I would think. Naruto looked at the price tag and nearly fainted. Yep, that's what every guy that comes in here does when he sees that. Including my father once, and he set the price. Naruto regained his posture and looked inside Gamachan. With all the gifts he got yesterday, he probably had more than enough along with all the money he had been saving. He went to the counter and put Gamachan in front of Tenten, who looked up in surprise. I guess I'll take it. Can you see if this is enough? Tenten went wide-eyed. She opened it up and saw inside the frog was all the rolled-up checks and money he got for his birthday. She looked up at him. This is everything you got, Naruto-kun. Whoever the hell she is, she isn't worth losing everything you have over her. Tenten tried to convince him. Please Tenten-chan, can you see if it's enough? Naruto once again pleaded. Tenten sighed. I guess I'm not going to convince you otherwise. Naruto shook his head. Wait here and I'll check it, and if you have enough I'll get the key for the display case. Naruto smiled. Thank you Tenten-chan. I hope she's worth it for you, Naruto-kun. She is. Naruto said, watching Tenten go into the back. Naruto felt bad about what he did yesterday. Obviously, he did something to make Kyubi mad, but he couldn't figure out what. There you are. Kyubi said, walking into the shop. Naruto turned around towards her. Oh hey. I want you to look at something. Naruto said, pulling her towards the display case. What do you think of it? Naruto asked while Kyubi looked over the dress. Kyubi was mesmerized by the dress. It's beautiful, Naruto. Naruto smiled. Well, I'm glad you like it. Naruto wanted to surprise her with the news, but she looked down at the price tag first. She nearly fainted. It's too much, Naruto, don't worry about it. She changed her mind to Naruto, who was still smiling at her. Listen, about yesterday, I just wanted to say I'm sorry about that. Kyubi gasped as she found out it was still bugging him. I know I'm a bit hard to deal with sometimes, but I just wanted to get a girlfriend so bad I got timid about the whole thing. I'm not used to it and I promise I'll try and do better. He pointed to the dress. I bought it for you as a present, so show you how sorry I am. Kyubi looked at the dress and then the price tag. Naruto, I know I've been in you a long time, but while I was in you, you didn't have this much, and the only thing you've done recently to get money is... Kyubi nearly had a heart attack. Did you spend your birthday money buying me that dress? She asked, nearly about to put him through a wall. I wanted to get you something nice. Why? Answer me, Naruto. Did you buy that dress with your birthday money? Yeah, but why does it matter? What the hell possessed you to do that? Kyubi asked, nearly screaming her head off. I wanted you to be happy. How the hell can I be happy when you spend everything you have on me? Huh. I didn't think it mattered. How are you going to get food or pay for your rent? My rent is paid for the next few months and I have enough ramen to last me a while. I forgot to get you more non-ramen food. I promise I'll save up for a while and make it up to you. Kyubi nearly snapped. All he thought about was her. Anytime he thought he did something bad he would make it up to her. She nearly wanted to fall down and wish she had never been born. She wished that she never made him that deal so he wouldn't be so sad and spending all his money on her. She wished that she wasn't so damn obsessed with trying not to let him get closer to her that he got hurt. No more. I can't take this anymore. Just put me back in the seal. I've had enough of this. Naruto grabbed her. No, I won't. You need to teach me how to get a girlfriend. I promise I won't screw up anymore. Kyubi grabbed his shoulder and rammed him into the wall. You don't get it, do you? You have never screwed up once. Naruto shook his head. That's not true. Yesterday you were. I screwed up and got pissed off. I took it out on you. You don't deserve me or anyone, damn it. She screamed, letting him go and turning around to make sure he didn't see her cry. Naruto didn't make a move, in fear that he once again was doing something wrong. All she said was it wasn't his fault, but then why was she like this? Kyubi-chan, I don't care what you are, I just want you and me to be happy. Isn't helping me find my girlfriend so you no longer have to be inside me make you happy? Damn it, Kit, you still don't realize I'm in love with you. I don't want to be out of you. I want to be by your side. Kyubi screamed. If that was true, what was stopping her from doing that? Was it because she wanted to be his girlfriend? That would explain a lot, but if that was so, then why didn't she just come out and say it? Kyubi-chan, are you in love with me or something? Kyubi froze. He finally figured it out. Guess it wouldn't take much after my previous outburst. Kyubi thought, staring at his eyes glisten in the light. If you are, you can be honest. I'm not good with reading other people. Naruto stared at her for a moment. Naruto-kun, you don't understand. I'm a demon? Kyubi shook her head yes. Kyubi was slightly hurt at that comment. I don't care about that. Don't you know anything about me? I care about those who are precious to me no matter what they look like. Naruto watched her as she turned around in disbelief. Naruto growled at himself and stomped loudly towards her. She turned just around in time for him to tenderly place his lips upon hers. She becoming wide-eyed would be an understatement. It was like her eyes lit up with so much surprise that they looked like they were ready to fall out. Naruto didn't remove his lips, no, instead he pushed her back into the wall she just slammed him into. Naruto broke the kiss, no longer able to deprive his lungs of air, and departed from her lips. Kyubi placed her fingers over her lips as she began to pant, not because of the oxygen depravity but of the warmth inside her stomach that started twisting around. Shit. I swear Naruto-kun, acting cute and dating is much better than I thought. I can't believe my body is so willing to give in like that, she thought, thanking Kami that she found a use for panties other than hiding her crotch. So how was that? Naruto asked, still trying to catch his breath. Kyubi smiled and looked back at him. It wasn't that great, a little sloppy. With some more practice, I can teach you to make a girl melt in your arms. Instead of panting to breathe like you were trying to suffocate her. Naruto smiled. I guess that means that you will have to kiss me more often, huh? Kyubi tried to hide the light blush on her face but nodded anyway. Naruto chuckled. Can't wait. This may be my chance yet. Kyubi was about to teach him some more, but Tenten re-emerged with a key in her hand that Kyubi wondered what it was for. Naruto smiled and looked at Tenten, who was smiling. Father said to give you a good deal for it. He said a minimum because he needs to make some money off of this, but not a load. Tenten threw back his wallet with it still pretty full. Plus it's going for a good home, so. Tenten walked down to the case and opened it up. She carefully removed the kimono and held it in front of Kyubi. It's yours. Tenten said, holding it out in front of Kyubi. If Kyubi had her fox ears they would be down and her eyes limping in sadness. Kyubi looked over at Naruto's wallet to see a lot of his money was gone. She took it and thanked Tenten, who went back to the counter to tend to her duties. Kyubi slipped the kimono and found it really soft and light on her skin. She began to move around in it. She noticed that the silky substance, while very dense, is quite flexible. So how do you like it? Naruto asked, smiling and secretly putting his frog away. She smiled at him and wrapped him in a hug. Without knowing what she was doing, she kissed him on the cheek. It's really nice, Naruto-kun. Kyubi quickly recovered and blushed from the kiss. Glad you like it. Naruto said, smiling and watching Kyubi melt into the silky substance. Kyubi looked over at Naruto, who was grinning like an idiot. She blushed a little and laughed at the thought that his face always seems to be like that, and wondered if it was stuck. She tested this theory by wrapping another hug around and carefully planting a kiss on his lips. She backed off and watched his reaction. Nope, still smiling. Thanks for that, but what did I do to deserve that? Naruto asked, wondering why Kyubi just kissed him like that. Felt like it. She responded, turning and looking at the weapons in the shop. She turned to Tenten, who looked bored or depressed that she was wearing Tenten's kimono that she wanted. You got anything cat-like or claw? Tenten pointed over to the far corner of the store and lazily looked across. Kyubi found what she was looking for and ran over to Naruto. I want you to try this on. Naruto looked at the device. It had two long blades that stuck out of the top of a pair gauntlets-looking object, while underneath were two large holes that currently had loaded in two spikes. Naruto blinked at the object once, then twice. What is it? He asked, confused at why, but more confused at why she wanted him to have this. It's a high-density metal that will be good when encountering enemies in close range. It also has a built-in spike launcher as well as 7-needle launcher for quick short-ranged attacks. Okay. Naruto started. But I still don't know why you want me to have it. Kyubi gave a soft growl and a scowl at him. It's a great weapon, plus it makes you look more fox-like, my little foxy Naruto-kun. She said, brushing up against him. Naruto was a little uncomfortable having her so close to him. It's not really my kind of thing. Naruto said, examining the piece of weaponry. Her words just now hit him. What do you mean, foxy Naruto-kun? Are we on a date? Naruto looked down at her with a feeling he had never felt before. He knew not what it was, but knew it was there. Of course, what better way to help you than to take you on a real date? Kyubi said, mentally adding, with me. Naruto scratched the back of his head and looked down at the weapon again. Oh right, I thought this was like a trial run or something. So the confession you gave earlier was one too? Kyubi growled as Naruto looked confused but nodded. How do you think you will learn? Do you think there's some kind of handbook for this thing? Naruto was about to say something when Kyubi continued. As much as people believe there is, there isn't. Every girl is different in terms of likes and dislikes, and you must learn what they are and fast. I'd like to say all girls like to know that you know a lot about them so they feel a deep connection with you. I don't know everything about human women, but this is some of the stuff I've learned over the years. Kyubi said, leading him over to the counter where Tenten was watching with an interest, considering it was Kyubi who was running around in her shop. Naruto noticed Tenten nodding her head as what the Kyubi was saying. It's true. I wouldn't like a guy who knew nothing about me or just knew my favorite color or anything. I'd need to know he truly knew me, what I liked, what I felt, and what makes me happy. Tenten said with a bit of suggestion on the word happy. Oh well. I guess I learned a lot about dating. Naruto said, looking down at the claws still in his hands. I guess I'll buy these. He said, paying for them and leaving arm in arm with Kyubi. They got home without incident and Naruto changed into his normal bed attire of just boxers and crawled into bed. Kyubi came in with nothing on. She then transformed into a small fox with velvet-like red-orange fur. She hopped up on the bed and made herself comfortable. Kyubi-chan? Naruto asked, looking over at her. She picked up her head and looked over at him. I had a really great day today and I wanted to thank you for teaching me a lot today. Kyubi smiled. No problem, Naruto-kun. Kyubi said, lying her head back down. Naruto blushed as he felt her lay against his leg again. Also, I just wanted to say you're really cute like that. Kyubi was lucky she picked this form tonight. She would have been blushing to the point of full face red and a large smile, which still happened but less noticeable now. One bad side to getting a compliment like that while in fox form is that she began to, what could be called, purring. Naruto smiled and knew that would make her happy. This was only the beginning, however, for the both of them as she snuggled up against his legs. You're really cute yourself there, foxy Naruto-kun. Naruto woke up to find Kyubi still sleeping on his leg. Naruto began to move slowly out of bed, trying not to wake the sleeping fox on his leg. Little did he know she had already knew he was getting out of bed, which put a smile on her face for what she was planning. Naruto looked back on the sleeping fox on his bed and slowly made his way to the door. He turned to see the fox still sleeping on his bed as he opened the door and began to walk through it while turning his head towards the kitchen. His eyes came within centimeters of a tall red-haired woman staring deep inside of him. Naruto took a step back in surprise. After a minute he calmed down. Hey Kyubi-chan, what are you doing up? Naruto said, taking a look over at the fox still on the bed but with her head up. The clone in front of him disappeared and Kyubi began to stretch on the bed before leaping off and walking towards him. She rubbed her face against his legs, making sure to get a big sniff of a certain area discreetly as she didn't have to touch it or have her nose too close to it to smell it. She smiled as Naruto was none the wiser and started to scratch her head. You're pretty cute when you're like this. Maybe I can take you around town like this and say you're my pet. Naruto said, smiling largely at his new pet. Little did he know, however, that she had starting fading out and only caught two words he spoke, which were, pet, and, cute. Oh Naruto-kun, I'd love to be your pet and so much more. Kyubi thought as he started scratching behind her ears. Oh Kami Naruto-kun, think I'm going to jump on you and... Her thought was cut off when he stopped scratching and began to walk to the bathroom. I'll be out in a few minutes. Try not to chew up the rug, and are you house trained? He said, teasing her. She growled at the question and was about to lunge at him when he shut the door. Bastard, you did that on purpose. She yelled through the door. She heard him snicker behind the door, then heard him start the shower. She waited with panther-like stealth and ambition. She heard him get into the shower by the difference in sound from the water hitting his body. She suddenly changed to her human form and erupted into flames. Sweet payback. She used her fire element to heat the water pump in the basement to near boiling levels. Naruto's scream could hear down in the basement and she stopped adding heat and reappeared near the bathroom door to watch Naruto run out of the bathroom naked and steaming red hot. She used a quick water jutsu to cool him off. He stood there with water dripping all over his floor. His mind then thought just what was going on. How did she know to use that? You did this? Naruto thought out loud, which she confirmed with a smile. You scratched my ear and then just got up and walked away when you had me turned on like that. Turned on? Naruto stuttered, never even thinking she was that into him. She on the other hand let her secret out without thinking about it. That's what happens when you scratch my ears. They are very sensitive. So your ear is your weak point, huh? Naruto said, giving her a smile back. Tag, Kyuubi was it, and she knew it. She started go backwards as Naruto outreached his hand towards her. It was lucky that no one ever bothered Naruto other than his friends, because Kyuubi let out a moaning howl as he began rubbing her ears. Had anyone dared to check, they would see a naked boy on top of a fox who looked like she was having an orgasm, which she probably was close to. She found her body completely unresisting other than her mouth spewing out, no more, or not there. She found herself in bliss when one of his hands began scratching her stomach. This is your punishment for being bad, this time Kyuubi-chan. He said, nearly throwing her mind into sewer. Screw the gutter. So what do you have to say for yourself? Naruto asked, loving this control over her. The power and dominance over her was more intoxicating than pure sake. The only thing she could try to say at this point came out to soft pleasurable groan as her body was wrapped firmly in the delicate stream of endorphins. He smiled and wanted to laugh a little at just how much the big bad fox he had always known was brought down easily by his two hands. He couldn't help but blush a little at the sounds she was making though. He now took her ears and nibbled on it with his mouth and tongue. She gave out a small pleasurable howl as she felt her body overcome with similar emotions to sex. She didn't know how long it had been since he started, but it felt like forever as her mind released as her body followed. She was lucky the floor was already wet and Naruto didn't notice the little additional drops on it. She mentally smiled as he got off her after she collapsed on the floor. Let that be a lesson to you, Kyuubi-chan. I don't want any more trouble out of you, got it? He said, more demanding than asking. She nodded as she was unable to speak. I swear, Naruto-kun, I will make you pay for this. Next time you'll be the one on the floor and you'll be begging me to stop. She thought and tried to stand up but was unable to do, for the moment anyway. She laid there for a while unable to move after her first major release like that. He walked back into the shower area and closed the door behind him. She immediately began to pant, which she refused to do in front of him. By the time she could find the strength to stand up, Naruto walked out of the shower clothed and smelling like soap. He has a towel wrapped around his waist down to his knees. Naruto didn't understand why she was like this. He had no idea about her release earlier either. After you are done getting dressed, we are going out for a while. Kyuubi said, turning away and walking with almost a small limp to the kitchen. Naruto noticed the limp and sighed. Some place dark with no light other than the two holograms standing there with a smile on each of their faces. She's been released again? The one hologram asked, dressed in full black robes with a straw hat on. Yes, and her protector is the one who defeated Madara and most of the Akatsuki. The other one said with a female voice. The man sighed and lowered his head. You know what must be done then. The man replied, looking over his counterpart. Can you stop? I told you work before pleasure. We may be married but we have to make money somehow. The man laughed. Always just like you to think of the prey rather than us. The man with a rather large sigh. Would you stop it already? She said, wanting to slap some sense into him but couldn't. Anyway, I'll meet you inside the village at his favorite place. She said, logging off, leaving the man to himself. Women. He said before logging off as well. A few hours later, Naruto was still wandering around aimlessly for the past hour with a furry-looking tiny fox on his shoulder. She cast an illusion so the civilians couldn't see she was there, but anyone who was trained to could see through it. Such as Niji, who was walking towards him with his usual calm demeanor. Niji immediately noticed the small illusionary jutsu around him. Is he under some sort of genjutsu? Yes, but it seems like he knows what he's doing. Should I ask him about it or should I activate my Byakugan? It might alert anyone who put it over him if I do. Safe course of action then is to talk to him and see what he can and can't do. Naruto waved at Niji and ran over to him. Hey Naruto-kun, what's up? Niji asked, noticing the genjutsu was originating from his shoulder. He didn't want to alert anyone, so he kept quiet about it. Not much, me and, He began to whisper to his shoulder, which confirmed his suspicions. She says okay. He said, confusing Niji. What do you mean she says? His question was answered before it began with a quick appearance of a small orange fox on his shoulder. Niji knew who it was based upon the recent events. Oh, her. Yeah, she was tired for some reason today. She gave a quick nasty glance at him before returning to her pose on his shoulder. Niji noticed the glance and made a light chuckle. So I took her out for some fresh air. You having fun trying to be her protector? Niji asked, trying not to let out a small chuckle, the key word being trying. She's not too bad. Her narrow eyes slowly glared over him. Niji noticed the new action and decided to confront her about it. What about Naruto-kun? What's it like being with him? She looked him over before responding. He's a pain. His manners are non-existent, he has nothing in his apartment other than ramen. She stopped and looked over him again. But then again, he's got a nice heart and he deserves a lot more than what he gets. She said with a hint of seductive nature. Niji didn't pick up on the seduction but figured she liked him a lot, considering his impact on people, figuring his impact on her. I am not a pain. Naruto whined. Niji chuckled a few seconds before looking back at the Kyuubi. She didn't seem all that bad. She was their secret protector. Naruto just pouted before putting back on his serious face. Anyway, how would you like to join us for a walk? Niji shook his head. No thanks. I was just coming from a meeting with Tsunade-sama about a mission. Really? What do you have to do? Niji shook his head. Can't tell you, at least not here. Kyuubi jumped off his shoulder and stretched out her legs. I'll take care of that. She said before suddenly they were on top of the fourth Hokage's head. Naruto smiled. You always know exactly where to take me, Kyuubi-chan. He said, planting a kiss on her cheek. She blushed and smiled. So Niji, what was the mission about? Come on, you really have to. Naruto's voice became faded to her. She was watching him talk as if his lips were saying only one thing. I love you, Kyuubi-chan. Oh, Naruto-kun. After Naruto's begging, Niji broke. Alright, fine. There are some reports of a two-person team causing trouble along all the nation's borders. They have to be ninja based upon how fast and how accurate they move and strike. They are making it look like the other nations are doing it. While every nation knows the others aren't, it could mean that a nation could attack another and blame it on the two-man squad. We were told to protect a small village rumored to be under attack. Niji looked over at the fox, who he could tell was looking at Naruto the same way Hinata used to. So you mind if I talk to her alone for a moment? Niji said, directing the question at Naruto. Naruto looked at Kyuubi for a moment before smiling back at Niji. Sure, just tell me when you are done. Naruto walked away as Niji looked at Kyuubi. Let's sit down to talk, shall we? Niji said, sitting down overlooking the leaf village. She laid down next to him and did the same. So tell me something, how long have you loved him? Niji asked bluntly. She only looked at him a brief moment before realizing he wouldn't buy any story she'd give him. I don't know. There really wasn't a time when I thought to myself, I love him, for the first time. It was almost as if I knew it all along. She looked out at the village. Even when he was a child, I always wanted to be there for him. He had no one there for himself except himself. I wanted so desperately to make him happy. No matter how angry he made me, my heart always seemed so overjoyed to see him okay. Kyubi let her eyes drop and close slightly to present the image of crying. I see. It can never work between us though. He's so dense when it comes to love. I guess because he's never had much. She was about to start crying when Niji interrupted. Shouldn't that strengthen your resolve? She looked over at him with a questionable look. Think about it. He's never known love. Tell him you love him. His heart is in horrible shape right now. Despite how he acts, he's really empty inside. Fill that emptiness and teach him what it is to love. Niji spoke with such a calm and understanding voice it almost made her want to run over to him and do it. You have to tell him. Niji and Kyubi looked at each other eye to eye. Tell me what? Naruto said, laying down next to her. Her eyes began to shake in fear of being discovered. No, not like this. Not now. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Before she could mentally continue, two kunai were launched at her which she quickly saw and dodged, but Naruto crossed his arms and took a kunai in each arm. Kyubi looked to see the two kunai cracking his skin as blood streamed from the fresh wound. I dodged it. Why the hell did you do that? If you had let those kunai go they could have gone down into the village and hurt someone. Kyubi looked over the edge at the busy streets. She saw the civilians and children walking around just below. Niji had already begun to assess the situation so that they could prevent this from involving civilians. Niji began to look around. He was the only one around, no guards or anything. He must have been after one of them and his money was on Naruto. Kyubi sighed and looked at the guy. He was no doubt strong, but the problem was how to make this end and not make it messy. She went into offensive stance and flung her tails at him with amazing speed. Even still he dodged and countered with two more kunai which she caught with one of her tails. She threw it to a safe location before looking back at him. Relax, I came here to issue a challenge to the keeper of the very beautiful Nine-Tails Fox. If it wasn't for him attacking her, she might have been flattered. What do you want with him? The man laughed. I just said, I wish to challenge him in a one-on-one duel. It shall take place in 3 years from today. Naruto's face vaulted. So let me get this straight, you came all this way to tell me in 3 years you want me to fight you? Naruto asked, pointing a finger at him. Yes. I give you ample amount of time to get ready and learn anything your father left you. Naruto let loose a small quick gasp, as did Niji. How the hell did you know about my father? Naruto demanded. The man chuckled before explaining. Your father made many powerful enemies, including an old friend of his from the old Whirlpool country. I was planning to give you time until you were his age, but then I don't think he could wait that much longer for this fight to happen. Since it is a duel, I suppose there are stakes? Niji interrupted. The man looked at the Hyuga. Yes, well, I was going to get to that eventually. The man turned his attention back to Naruto. The stakes are simple. If I win, then the great Kyubi no Kitsune will become mine. If you win, all your father's old enemies disappear and you are safe from them, and trust me, there are a lot of them. Naruto looked over at Kyubi a moment before turning back to the man. How can you guarantee this? Niji spoke up. It all seemed too perfect. Simple. Most of his father's enemies gave up a while ago from our organization. We were about to give up as well when we heard about this Uzumaki Naruto everyone kept talking about. When we dug deeper we found he was indeed his son. We then came with a pact, since most of us were tired of grudges from so long ago, that we would make you this offer. We duel you, in exchange for a chance of our revenge you get a chance at your freedom. If we lost, we all agreed to just give it up. It was no longer worth the lives of anyone else. The man looked at Niji. Satisfied? It's not physical proof. Niji looked over at Naruto. But I suppose if what you say is true, it could be a very big opportunity to get rid of all Naruto-kun's father's enemies. What do you think, Naruto-kun? No way am I going to risk her life like that. She's the village's secret protector. The man laughed and looked over to the Kyubi as she looked at Naruto and grasped her heart. Is that really all I am to you? She thought, a little heartbroken. She's also someone very precious to me. This jump started her heart as it began to race listening to him speak. She's loyal and kind. She used to be someone that I hated and despised, but now she's one of the few people who are always in my heart. The man turned his attention back to Naruto, who was giving this heart-filled speech. She too suffered like I did. We have that in common. Naruto's eye drifted downward slowly before swooping back up at him. That's why I won't just sit here and agree to her life. She's always a part of me and always will be. Kyubi tried not to show it but let a fluttering heart-filled smile run across her face along with a few tears. It rekindled her emotions for him again and she stood up. Naruto turned to see her in naked human form with tears streaming from her eyes. He stared into her eyes, her very soul of emotions. She wrapped her arms around him so tight yet so gentle, as if an angel had levitated down and wrapped its arms around him. Her arms began to feel like they were melting away his outer layer. His fears, his pain all seemed to escape through the cracks in his walls as if she had cracked open a window in a space shuttle orbiting Earth. I love you so much, Naruto-kun. I couldn't imagine a day without you. The crack spread over his body, threatening to break. I never want to let you be lonely again. Crack, crack, crack. Crash. The walls came crumbling down as Naruto wrapped his arms around her. I love you too, Kyubi-chan. He yelled with tears now streaming down his face. They stood there hugging and crying into one another with no regards to the man making the offer. A woman suddenly appeared behind him and wrapped her arms around him. Ah, they are in love. The woman said in his ear. Maybe we should leave them to their privacy. We can always come back later and finish telling them. The man seemed to object but in the end was nearly dragged away by the woman. Niji's attention towards the man was replaced by the sight of Kyubi and Naruto in a deep passionate kiss. The two stood alone in their own world as their chests seemed to resonate with pure joy as their hearts fused in a swirl of love and delight. His kiss was still sloppy but there was just too much passion that it was hard to care if it was. She was just too much into the kiss. Their lips would part slightly to grab quick breaths to never stop the kiss. It was an exchange of their love without words. Niji stood there and tried to clear his throat to interrupt the two but it was in vain. Fire began to appear around them slowly. Niji activated his Byakugan and saw it was the fox's chakra getting ready to teleport them. Niji was about to stop them when they were both enveloped in a raging inferno of red and orange flames. Niji watched as there was nothing left of them other than a small burn mark where they just were seconds ago. Naruto and Kyubi reappeared in Naruto's apartment and without having parted lips at all. She began pushing him back into the wall until Naruto grunted at the hard impact. His mind ignored the pain because it was enveloped in a completely overwhelming sensation. Kyubi broke their kiss finally as she stared into his blue eyes. Say that you love me again and you want me and I swear by Kami you will. Tell me you want me to keep my promise by becoming your girlfriend. Say it and I swear by Kami you will never be alone again. Naruto was so far lost in a mentality that he had never known before. It was a throbbing caged beast that had been set free when he began kissing her. A deep inner lust that was never stroked or satisfied. The same things went through her mind as she still held some of her personality as she didn't let her emotions get the better of her, yet. Naruto began to pant as his body had gone so much further than his mind was at. His mind hastily agreed to her terms. I'll love you to the end of time as long as you make sure I'm never alone again. Naruto panted as he went for another kiss but wasn't sure if it was okay. She examined his facial features before seeing no trace of deception, but of pure lust and love. She smiled at his hesitant attempt at a kiss. She met his lips for another time that night as her tails emerged, beginning to wrap them in a hot loving embrace. She looked down for the last time as Naruto, the boy who made everyone smile and happy at the cost of his own. Instead, like a phoenix, reborn from the ashes as Naruto, lover of the Kyubi and the man who made everyone smile. She broke the kiss and looked down at the new man. I'm sure, Kyubi-chan. I've never felt this way before and I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if my love for you is even as deep as you want it to be. But I'll never go back on my word. If I don't love you enough now, then I'll just learn more about you and learn to love you more. Kyubi's eyes teared and she put the largest smile she'd ever given. I wish I was half as perfect. She wiped away one eye and was about to wipe the other when Naruto did it for her. She watched with the large smile still on her face. I don't care what happens to me. My new vow is to make Naruto the most happiest man in world and give him anything he wants. Then get over here and claim your prize. Naruto planted a quick kiss on her before speaking again. You are worth more to me than any prize or treasure. Kyubi couldn't believe she had a guy like him. Talk about perfect. She pushed him into the bedroom and began to take off his shirt. Then come to me, Naruto. Kyubi pushing, playfully, him on the bed as she shut the door. She smiled as she walked over to the venerable Naruto lay. And now it begins. Her eyes and smiled as their heartbeats synchronized. Hours later, the sunlight hit Naruto's face as it began to rise. Naruto hesitantly flickered his eyes open to have his vision blinded by the sun's magnificent rays. As he tried to move his hand up to cover his eyes from the light, he noticed something was blocking it. He tried harder but to no avail. Finally he used his other hand and reluctantly tried to open his eyes enough to see what was obstructing his other arm. He saw the glowing amber-red hair of the Kyubi scattered everywhere around her. Every strand of hair going different directions but all originating from that head that he instantly recognized. A smile crept across his face as he remembered what he did the night before. Even more, he watched as Kyubi remained undisturbed from her sleep and still lightly breathing with her eyes closed. Naruto couldn't help it, but after a few minutes began to check out Kyubi's naked body that he got so familiar with the night before. This is when he noticed that his hand might be near a sensitive area. Instead of trying to move his arm, he only moved his hand. Slow and gently he moved it around feeling for something but nothing. You know what they say about curiosity? A woman's voice said, coming from next to him. Naruto panicked slightly, he just got busted trying to feel her. You're lucky, Naruto, you have 8 more lives, Kyubi said, using the hand she had across his chest to grab his hand. You also lucky that I liked it. She pressed his hand against her pelvis. She smiled as he slowly made a finger slip into her folds. He felt as he got deeper, feeling the soaked walls. He felt the hard inner ring and then slipped a finger inside it as he went deeper. She moaned loudly as the finger wiggled, poked, and slipped even further inside her. Her body became engulfed in the new sensations as she felt his other hand play with her nipples. Feeling the overwhelming sensations, she begged Naruto. Naruto, please more. Never in his wildest dreams did he ever think that she would be begging him for this. Naruto smiled. I guess when it comes right down to it, you are perverted just like me. Kyubi didn't respond right away. She just continued to be pleasured. Women, just hide it better. Naruto smiled and slipped a second finger into her. Oh Kami! She screamed as she felt that second finger penetrate deep inside her. Naruto loved this dominance over her. This powerful creature, this beautiful naked creature was his. Naruto just watched her face as she panted and moaned at each thrust of his fingers. He finally took them out as he stood up and licked them in front of her, making sure each tiny trace was greedily scooped up by his tongue and brought into his mouth. Hide that. Naruto remarked, making Kyubi make a light chuckle. Yo! Kakashi said, making his grand appearance. Kyubi just snorted. What do you want? Kyubi said. Hey now, that's no way to treat a guest now, is it? Kakashi asked rhetorically. Kyubi responded with a simple HMN. Kakashi could tell the only real person she liked was Naruto since she was only kind to him. Anyway, I just swung by to give you the message that Tsunade-sama has a mission for us. This perked Naruto's attitude up. Do you know any of the details, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked to only receive a head shake. Not yet, that's all I was told. Naruto looked over at the Kyubi who didn't seem interested but saw Naruto wanted to go. She sighed and with a snap of her fingers, her new battle raiment was over her. Kakashi looked over at the Kyubi who looked very attractive in that kimono. He tried not to stare but Naruto made sure to save him before he got in serious trouble. Kakashi-sensei, let's go. Naruto said, opening the door to his apartment. Coming. Kakashi turned around and started walking to the door. The Kyuubi, watching all this, just stood there and mumbled to herself. That's what I should be doing. Kyuubi complained. You say something, Kyuubi-chan? Naruto asked, looking back at her. Just stand there. Nope, was just thinking that we should get going. Naru-kun. With that they left. They made decent time over to the Hokage's tower, which they found Tsunade sitting behind her normal mountain on paperwork. Kakashi knocked on the door, in which Tsunade simply replied, Enter. Tsunade watched as Kakashi and Naruto entered the room. Ah, good you two are here. Naruto-kun, I know that I told you could have some time off, but this is important and I know you would want to get involved. Don't sweat it, Bachan. Good, cause this mission is ranked S. Tsunade paused for a moment to give the S ranking a chance to set in. Normally we don't let genin go on S-ranked missions, but given that you are probably the most powerful shinobi in the village, then I am making an exception. Recently some bandits attacked a farming village a day's walk outside Konoha. Normally this would be grounds for a B or A ranked mission, but this particular raiding group is supposed to have been led by a man in a black robe with red clouds. We have no doubt that who we are dealing with. With Pain gone, there are only a few members of that organization left. The main objective of the mission is to kill the leader and stop the attacks. There is a secondary objective in this mission. If you fulfill this secondary mission you will receive a bonus on the payment and another week off duty. The secondary objective is to find, interrogate, and eliminate the second in command of the group. The bonus on the payout will be determined if the second in command had anything to say. Are the mission parameters clear? Hi. Kakashi and Naruto said in unison. Good. I expect this mission to go smoothly for ninja of your strength. Good luck. Dismissed. Kakashi and Naruto left the room along with the Kyuubi who had been standing outside the door. The moment the door shut behind Kakashi and Naruto, the Kyuubi spoke up. Is this really what you want to do right now, Naru-kun? Naruto looked at her to see that she really just wanted to stay home for some reason. He had an idea why but figured that it was too late to back out now. Yeah, Kyuubi-chan. Plus this is a great way to spend some time together. Kyuubi had another place to spend time together. Instead she settled for what he wanted to do because she already had her fun the other night. Plus she would show him just what else a woman's body could do. After a moment of just staring at her, Naruto realized that Kyuubi wasn't into this idea as much as he was. He wasn't an idiot, but he was sometimes, however, dull when it came to other people's feelings. He slowly approached her and wrapped his arms around her while he held her close to him. So close, that she could hear the loud noise of his heart pounding faster, when he was close to her. I'm sorry, Kyuubi-chan, was there something you wanted to do? Kyuubi just looked him over and saw that he was concerned with her and looked away. Yeah, but I'm fine. Kyuubi said, hoping it would satisfy him. It didn't. Naruto felt Kyuubi push away from him a little bit. He let his grasp on her go. She quickly responded by turning around. Alright then. Let's go. Kyuubi said, walking away. Even Naruto could see there was something more to this. Outside, they all agreed to meet at the main gate in 3 hours, giving plenty of time to eat, pack up, and get any supplies they might need. Naruto kept staring at Kyuubi, who could tell she was being stared at but ignored it. The next 3 hours consisted of Naruto packing, going to the ninja tool supply store for what else? Ninja tools. He bought a bunch since sometimes battling a whole army of bandits required more than one kunai. He looked at the time in his apartment and saw he only had 45 more minutes until he met with Kakashi at the front gate. Naruto looked over at Kyuubi, who just tried to make it not apparent she was watching him. Naruto tried to confront her, but when he did he could tell she had that look like she didn't want to talk about it. Normally Naruto would push the situation, but he was in love with her and didn't want to ruin things right now because he pushed her into an argument. He knew that eventually they would fight over something, but it was still early in the relationship and he didn't want it to end now. His train of thought was broken when Naruto's stomach growled. Kyubi, despite the attitude, still found that cute. She held it in her smile to prevent Naruto from seeing her true feelings. I think we should head to get some ramen before we leave the village. What do you think? That's fine. Naruto thought maybe they could have a small conversation now. Listen, I'm sorry about before. I know I shouldn't have rushed to take a mission without asking you, but it sometimes is just hard for me to control myself. Bachan says she has a mission for me and, well, I don't know. I just get this feeling like I could help out more people and maybe get closer to answer the question that Pervy Sage left me. I know I can find it, it's just that I don't see it right now. But I just wanted to say I'm sore. Please don't. Naruto just looked at her shocked. Please don't say you're sorry. Why, Kyubi-chan, is something wrong? The genuine concern on Naruto's face was making her regret ever hiding it from him. Those eyes, those terrible eyes that made her feel like she couldn't hide anything from him, those eyes that dug their claws deep into her soul and wouldn't let her go. Those claws, which now raked against her soul and heart, stared at her for answers. The curtain fell, exposing all the actors behind the scenes. Kyubi gripped the cloth that surrounded her as if it were her own heart. Don't say you're sorry, because I'm not worth it. She stood there for a moment before Naruto noticed the tears going down her face. All those years that I caused trouble for you. All the times I blamed you for everything. I was no better than anyone who picked you as a kid. I know it's wrong now, but I can't ever forget the hell I put you through. All those times I wanted you dead because I thought that it would ease my own anger. I blamed you for everything. I wasn't angry at you because of anything that happened cause it was your fault. I was angry because it was I who was responsible for the deaths of two of my closest friends, and the village that I became very fond of. I had all this anger that I took out on you. Then I watched you. I saw that look in your eyes. All the time I watched as you never gave up and became a hero. I saw your ideas, your thoughts, your dreams. All of them flowed into me as if it were my own blood. It wasn't long at all before you changed me. You kept fighting for what was right, something that I gave up on a long time ago when I lost myself to that darkness. After I began to change, I became fond of you. I saw so much of your parents in you. The reason I was being rude and angry at you was because I was embarrassed. Embarrassed that this entire time I treated you like I did. I liked that you demanded things of me because I felt like in some way it was retribution for what I had done to you. It also gave me great insight into who you are. Your dreams made sense, your thoughts were music to me, and you. Kyubi trailed off. All this time Naruto just stood there, watched Kyubi cry and spill out her heart at him. It hurt a little to know that she was mean to him cause she thought like that, but even then she changed to love him. And what, Kyubi-chan? Kyubi looked at him with tears in her eyes. She closed her eyes slowly and turned away. You became the man I love and respect. Naruto let it sink in, but Kyubi felt horrible inside. It's why I never want you to do anything to me. I only want you to be happy. It's why when you bought me that dress I objected. I don't think I deserve anything from you. You could beat me every day and make me do anything you want and I still would feel like this. You know I would never do anything like that, Kyubi-chan. Naruto interrupted. I know. I'm just saying. Kyubi said, wiping the tears away from her eyes. I don't think anything I do will ever be enough to make you happy for what I did to you. Kyubi couldn't finish her statement when Naruto's lips pressed against her lips. The tears kept falling and she watched in shock as Naruto kissed her. She never broke the kiss. Instead Naruto did, and while looking her in the eye said these words. Everything you do makes me happy. You are a loyal girlfriend that would do anything for me. You are loving and caring. Kyubi-chan, I love you with all my heart and soul. There is nothing I wouldn't do to be with you. I'm sure you feel the same way. I know you feel bad about what you did, but I've forgiven you already for all of that. I've never been happier in my life and you did that, Kyubi-chan. You did. Kyubi didn't know what to say. Her eyes just beaten with tears stared at him. The only thing that came out of her mouth was, "Naruto-kun." She cried into his jacket. Naruto could hear her mumble over and over, "I'm so sorry," into his jacket. He rubbed her back and wrapped one of his arms around her. "It's okay, Kyubi-chan. It's okay." Naruto kissed her on the forehead and continued to chant those few words in her ear. The silver-haired Jonin standing outside Naruto's apartment overheard only crying and Naruto telling her it was going to be alright. Normally he would intrude and see what was going on, but even he knew when to restrain himself. He didn't leave, nor did he want to tell them that they were supposed to leave over an hour ago. He stood there waiting to hear an end to the tears. Naruto finally calmed her down after what it seemed like enough times to sit through and read all the perverted books Kakashi read. After a few minutes of grace period he knocked on the door. Naruto was slow to respond but eventually slowly opened the door. Naruto opened the door not expecting Kakashi to be there. "Oh, hey Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked. Kakashi saw the giant stain on Naruto's shirt. It must have been quite something bad to have all those tears. Kakashi thought. "Well, you were late for meeting me at the gate. I thought I'd come check on you to make sure your girlfriend didn't wear you out before the mission," Kakashi said with a perverted thought in mind. Naruto picked up on it right away, having been with Jiraiya for so long. "First off, what me and Kyubi do is none of your business. Second, if we did I wouldn't tell you." "Oh come on Naruto, not even for your old pal?" Kakashi said innocently. Naruto called his fake expression. "No. Anyway, why are you so interested in why me and Kyubi-chan are late? You are always late yourself. At least we would have a valid excuse unlike someone else." Naruto stared at Kakashi. "Naruto-kun, I'm hurt. I have valid excuses for being late." Naruto's eyebrow twitched. Like an old lady got stuck in a tree? Why does he always remember that one? Kakashi thought. "I told you, I mean to say an old lady's cat was in a tree and I didn't want to frighten it and..." Yeah, whatever." Naruto waved him off. "Anyway, me and Kyubi-chan will be ready to go soon." Before Naruto could close the door on Kakashi, he walked inside. "Well then I'll wait for you guys to be done here on your couch," Kakashi said as he sat down. Before Naruto could yell at Kakashi for sitting down, a certain female walked out of the bedroom. "Save your breath Naruto-kun. We are packed and ready anyway." "Coming from the bedroom, huh? So I guess you and Naruto really did." Kakashi never got to finish that statement as he watched her give him a glare that was infused with some of her wind attack. "Oh shit," Kakashi thought as his head suddenly went through the wall. Naruto laughed as he saw Kyubi use her wind blast to shove the Jonin through the wall. "Come Naruto-kun, we are leaving. We'll meet him at the gate. We'll even have time to stop for ramen," she said with a smile but frowned when Naruto looked back at Kakashi. "What about Kakashi-sensei? He'll come around in the next hour or so." "Oh, alright." Naruto knew she probably went overboard in putting his head through the wall, but at the same time he knew that Kakashi probably deserved it. After taking a last look at Kakashi to make sure he's still breathing, they walked out of the room and Kakashi said in a soft voice, "Why me?" Naruto and Kyubi got to enjoy a nice meal. They sat down, ordered their food and Naruto had his usual 10 bowls. Kyubi ate too and admitted it was good. It was better than Kushina's old home cooking she used to make. It got her thinking about her old friends and how suddenly their lives ended. She swatted that thought aside. Right now the only thing that mattered was Naruto. She let him pay for the food and went to meet Kakashi at the gate. "I still think you should apologize to Kakashi-sensei about putting him through the wall." Then it dawned on Naruto. "Hey, wait a minute. Who's going to fix my wall?" Naruto yelled in disbelief. Naruto started rambling on and on and on about how the landlady was going to kick him out because there was now a giant hole in the wall. "Naruto-kun," she said with no avail. He continued to go on about how he'll end up living in a cardboard box again and... "Naruto-kun," she said a bit louder. Still nothing. Naruto-kun. She yelled at him. That got his attention. What? Geez, you didn't have to yell so loud. Kyubi sighed and tried not to get mad. Don't worry about it. It's taken care of. What? How? Naruto asked. I used a shadow clone to fix it while we were eating. Kyubi said, calming down. Naruto hugged her. Arigato. Naruto said, giving Kyubi a quick hug. He broke the hug and they continued to walk to the front gate to meet Kakashi. At the gate, Kakashi and Kyubi exchanged a few glances. What are you looking at, Cyclops? Kyubi asked, which made it very obvious she didn't like him. Kakashi just sighed. Absolutely nothing. Kakashi responded, making Kyubi ticked off. What is that supposed to mean? Kyubi asked, giving him another glare. Exactly what it sounds like. Kakashi said, childish. Do you want to go through another wall? Kyubi responded, which made Kakashi remember the last experience just a little while ago. Guys, calm down. Naruto said, trying to referee this battle. Don't forget we have a mission to do. Kakashi broke the stare and looked outside the front gate. He's right, you shouldn't be starting fights. He said, obviously aiming that comment at the only girl around. I wasn't the one starting it. She said, defending herself. They made one last glare at each other. This isn't getting us anywhere. Let's get this mission over with so I don't have to be around him anymore. Kyubi said, walking past Naruto, out of the village. Naruto sighed and followed. Kakashi shortly followed behind. Time skip. After what seemed like a long time of walking and keeping Kyubi from killing Kakashi, Naruto set down his stuff in a small clearing in the woods, just a mile outside the bandit camp. It was now close to becoming dark and they decided to do some recon of the area. Naruto made some shadow clones to scout out the area around the camp while Kakashi, Kyubi and Naruto would watch the bandit group to see any strengths, weaknesses, etc. All of them put in their earpiece to communicate. Kakashi did a radio check. This is Eagle, copy Toad, Kitsune. Roger that, Eagle, said a man's voice over the headset. Roger that, Cock. For the last time, Kitsune, my code name is not Cock. It's Eagle. And for the last time, we are all named for something we are related to. Toad is the Toad Sage. I'm Kitsune for obvious reasons, and well, you. I still think you name should be Cock, 'cause I still think you like to rub all manner of. Kitsune, leave Eagle alone, he's agitated 'cause he's embarrassed about getting knocked out without you touching him. Yeah, okay. I'll leave him alone now. They all split up around the camp, almost a perfect triangle formation. Naruto-kun, can you come closer by me? Why, Kyubi-chan? Is something happening? No, but, I'm lonely. Naruto sighed. Kyubi-chan, we'll be back at camp soon and we'll talk and stuff there. Alright, she said, outing. She wanted to spend more time with him. Good, now that we all feel warm and fuzzy, can we start using the code names again? Kakashi said, annoyed that they weren't using their code names. Right, Eagle. Alright. Has anyone actually found anything worthy of being talked about over the intercom? Well, it's an army, that's for sure. At least 1,000 targets identified. Kitsune, anything at your end? Not really. There doesn't seem to be any strong chakra in the area. How about you, Ko? I mean Eagle. She said, mocking his choice of name. Hey, I called you the right name, so just shut up and report. No, I haven't found anything. Keep your eyes peeled for anything. Hi, two voices said. It was slow and boring. Mostly a lot of guys talking on logs and benches that they made out of wood. Some men were carrying boxes around. There was no sign of anyone with a black coat with red clouds. Naruto yawned slightly as he was incredibly bored at the sight. Nothing out of the ordinary. This is Kitsune. Is everyone still listening? We still are, Kitsune. Something to report? All these men have low chakra. Kitsune, they are bandits, not ninja. That may be Eagle, but even if they weren't ninja, their chakra is a little bit higher than that of regular bandits. Even if you didn't think that was strange, I noticed that some of these chakra signatures I've seen before. Kitsune-chan, do you know where? No. Well, Toad Sannin-sensei did take him all over the place, so it is possible some of these people did come across you in those travels. I think some of them are from the village. Konoha, I mean. The lines went dead. Everyone meet back at base camp. Now. Within minutes the three were assembled around a small fire and tents that they called base camp. Kakashi didn't waste a minute when they were all assembled. We are pulling out, Kakashi said firmly. What, why? Kyuubi and Naruto said in unison. Kakashi was quick to respond. Some of those people down there I've noticed have the same chakra presence of people of the leaf and sand. They aren't ninja, so we could rule out them as missing nin. If they are defectors, then why haven't we heard anything about a huge defect like this from Tsunade-sama or Gara-sama? I'm sure that we would have noticed that a large amount of people from Konoha left the village or at least heard about it. That's true. Naruto said, thinking about it. Then why are we pulling out, and why do those people down there have some chakra signatures as people from the village? We are pulling out because if they aren't defectors, and those really are people from Suna, and we attack or seem hostile to them, we could cause backlash on Konoha. For your second question, Naruto-kun, I don't know. Kakashi said, trying to remember if those chakra signatures came from civilians or ninja. Kakashi thought hard about the situation. There are two options I've kept open, but I wouldn't know how they pulled it off. Naruto listened closely. It is possible someone replicated a chakra signature and put it in a doll of some sort and are controlling the doll somehow. This is the Akatsuki we are dealing with. They have members whose powers we don't know. And the other option? Naruto asked. The other option is that they are being mind-controlled by someone. If Tsunade-sama knew about the mind control and knew that bandits were raiding towns, she may have suspected that the bandits were mind-controlled, and that's why our orders are to only kill the leader. So we don't hurt any of the people. Oh. Naruto said, looking down. That still doesn't explain why you are saying pull out. Unless. Naruto knew where Kakashi was going with this. All the pieces fit together. I see. Kyuubi said, looking at Kakashi. You're fearing that if they are puppets, it'll wear us out before we could reach the man in charge. We don't have orders to kill them, so we would have to subdue them, and it would take a lot of work. Also, if it was mind-controlled, judging by how many number of people he could influence, he might be able to compel you or Naruto to attack his or her teammates. Right, it's why I don't want to take a chance. Kakashi said, assured of himself. I think we should get reinforcements. All eyes were on Naruto. That way, if we take them on, if they are puppets, we can all fight them together without getting worn out as much, and if they are mind-controlled, then all we need to do is hold them off while someone gets the controller. Naruto said, smiling. I see. Kakashi said with a smile. Naruto, if you continue to think like that, you would make a great Hokage. It has its flaws, but it's still a decent plan. Alright, then it's settled. I'll send out a messenger bird at dinner time to request some backup. Until then, you guys are dismissed. Kakashi turned his back to get to his tent when Naruto stopped him. Kakashi-sensei. The Jonin looked back at Naruto. Kakashi-sensei, if the enemy is using mind control, do you think they would be able to control? Naruto signaled with his eyes towards Kyuubi. Kakashi got the message. I don't know, Naruto-kun. To tell you the truth, I think it's very possible, and I think you should tell her to sit out this fight. It's why I wanted to retreat. If they take control of her and she goes into Nine Tails. Kakashi let it sink in for a moment. Naruto thought about how powerful she was. He never really wanted to admit it, but he remembered a time when he used the Kyuubi's power and it was only one tail. It was enough to create a shockwave simply by yelling, a powerful enough shockwave that, if concentrated, could have caused massive damage. He multiplied that times 9. Just a simple roar could do that. Then what else could she do? Kakashi-sensei, I understand what you are trying to say, but Kakashi knew what was coming next from being with Naruto so long. I trust her. I know it's probably the way I feel about her that's making me say this, but even if she was mind-controlled, I don't think she would hurt me. Kakashi would have loved to believe it, but he met Toby a while back. He learned of the control that he had over the Kyuubi no Kitsune at the time of the attack on Konoha 19 years ago. Tobi was in the Akatsuki. If he was the one pulling the strong behind this, then he could use this chance to regain control over her and... Kakashi stopped in thought. Naruto-kun, as much as I would like to believe you, we have to remember that she... Kakashi stopped to think if anyone ever told him that she was controlled. Kakashi-sensei. I already knew she was controlled to attack the village. I also know you are probably worried that this guy might be the same, but she's different now. She in love with me and I think she'll fight her control more than she would have back then. Kakashi wanted so bad to believe that. Naruto-kun. Kakashi was doing his best not to put him down, but he couldn't protect him anymore. Can you honestly tell me that if she went berserk right now, you would be able to stop her by simply telling her that you loved her? Kakashi's words hit him hard and they felt so cold. Yeah, we. Naruto spoke weakly. Naruto still tried to put any denial that she would hurt him behind him, but Kakashi's words were bringing back doubts. Naruto-kun, please wake up. If she was controlled by her hate right now, think how it used to impact her. She would try and take you over, or even kill you. If you can trust her with your life by simply stating that because she loves you it makes a difference, then you are dreaming. Naruto clenched his fists. If she loses control, the only person who could bring her back is... Kakashi didn't have a chance to say Yamato. Me. Naruto said loudly. Kakashi-sensei, I know you still have doubts about Kyuubi-chan's love for me. I've understood that for most people this kind of relationship between me and Kyuubi-chan doesn't seem right. I could imagine lots of people, including Ba-chan, don't believe her, that this is all some plot by her to let her free or something. Naruto was angry that he thought Kakashi thought that way. Naruto-kun, I know that's why you think that, but it's not true. I'm very happy that you two are together. Naruto's anger subsided. It's not? Naruto asked, confused. No. I'm just worried about her anger. If she loses herself in her anger or gets mind-controlled, she might hurt you or me because she's not herself. Please understand, Naruto-kun, that it's not her I'm worried about, it's the guy we are facing. If he's able to take control of her, then we'll have to face her. We will have to face her in battle, Naruto-kun. Naruto understood now. Kakashi's words made sense, but Naruto was stubborn. He wouldn't conceive that Kyuubi would ever hurt him. I'm sorry, Kakashi-sensei, I know she would never hurt me, even if she was enraged. You've been mad at someone before, Kakashi-sensei. I'm sure you might have been mad at me a few times. It doesn't mean we kill or hurt that person. We may not like them, but just because we are angry doesn't give us the right to kill or hurt them. Kakashi, anytime you were angry, did you ever kill anyone because you were angry at that person? No, but... You know I would never do that, right? Yeah, but... Then why would you think she would be any different? Kakashi wished he didn't have to say it. He wished he didn't have to go this far. Forgive me, Naruto-kun. Kakashi thought. Because she killed your father. Kakashi yelled at him. He wished he didn't have to. Naruto knew she killed his parents while being controlled, at least his father anyway. Still, it opened up old wounds. She was his best friend from what I heard, and she still killed him. You're wrong. Naruto said, shocking Kakashi. My father died trying to seal her away inside me. He died because he knew it wasn't her fault. He never faced her in combat, and... He did. Kakashi screamed at him. Minato-sama faced her in combat, and when he realized that he couldn't snap her out of it, he sealed her inside you. Naruto's heart began to bleed. He died, yes, sealing her inside you, but she fought him, Naruto-kun. That's why I'm worried. You may be strong, Naruto-kun, but your feelings for her would get you killed. You would die hugging her while she dug her nails into your back. Naruto's eyes filled up with tears. That's not true, Kakashi-sensei. She would never hurt him, she wouldn't. Naruto cried. Kakashi stared at Naruto. Please don't make this any more difficult, Naruto-kun. Kakashi opened his mouth to say something but stopped when he heard someone else speak. I did. Both Naruto and Kakashi turned to see Kyubi standing there. They both forgot she was there the entire time. I don't remember much, but I remember Minato-kun trying to make me stop. He even told me if I didn't, he would have to seal me to make me stop. Naruto's eyes still poured out more tears onto his cheeks. But Kyubi-chan, you would never hurt him, his letters, your words, you both told me how great you guys are. Kyubi held in her breaking heart and her tears. It's one of my biggest regrets. I wasn't strong enough to overcome his gaze. He set me on a rampage. No, he's not the one to blame for Minato-kun's death. It is me, Kyubi said, realizing that she was trying to excuse her own actions. I was too weak to fight against his control. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Kakashi is right. If I get controlled, I don't know if I'll hurt you or not. Kyubi tried to hold back her tears. Please don't hate me, Naruto-kun. I agree with him. I don't trust myself enough to be strong enough to break it. Naruto felt like everything he knew about her was wrong. She really would hurt him? No. Naruto said firmly. Kakashi and Kyubi both turned their heads towards Naruto now. Call it whatever you will, but I believe Kyubi-chan is strong enough now. She would never hurt me. Kyubi felt her sorrow disappear. She felt a little bit of hope fly into her heart and soul. Kyubi-chan would never hate you. Even if you did hurt me, I would never hate you. You are the first person to love me. I believe that you may have liked my father, and maybe that's why you weren't strong enough. I know you love me, Kyubi-chan, and even if you were to lose control, I know you would never hurt me. Call me an idiot, call me a child for thinking like that, but I believe in her. Naruto-kun, don't you understand that I could hurt you or even kill you if I ever lose control? You won't. You won't, because I won't let you. Kyubi felt a new emotion, confidence. This was his will. Like I said, call me a child for thinking like this, but I believe in you, Kyubi-chan. I know you would never do anything to hurt me. He's right. I won't lose control like last time. Kyubi said with a smile. Naruto and Kyubi both smiled, looking at each other. Kakashi sighed. He knows how to bring out the best in people. He may have given her the confidence to defeat the control, but that's only half the battle. Alright, Naruto-kun, I believe you. Kakashi turned to her. I will believe in you too. Kyubi felt happy. She felt inspired. Thank you, Kakashi. Kyubi said with a smile on her face. Good. Now that we have that settled, I have to get back to, Kakashi tried to think of something. Reading your books? Naruto asked with a frown on his face. Why no, Naruto-kun, why would you ever think I would take something like that all the way out here? Kakashi said innocently. Naruto's eye began to twitch. The innocent game, huh? Oh well, guess there is no choice. Kakashi was still playing his little act when Naruto reached into his back pocket and pulled out a small book. Kakashi's eyes widened as he recognized the book Naruto was holding. I found this when we were setting up camp. Since we didn't bring it and you said you didn't bring any of your books, then I guess it was left here. If that's so, we can use the pages in this book to start a campfire tonight. Kakashi began sweating in fear. Naruto-kun, don't be so hasty. After all, the person who lost that book is probably wondering where it is. We should find them and give it back to do the right thing, right? Kakashi tried to think of anything to keep him from burning his book. In this case, we need the book to start the campfire tonight. I'm sure I can buy the person another book when he comes to the camp looking for it. But Naruto-kun, what about the sentimental value? Naruto's eye began to twitch again, this time in unison with Kyubi's eye twitching. There is none, he said, throwing the book in fire pit. Kakashi tried to run and get it, but Naruto stopped him. I thought you said the book wasn't yours. Kakashi kept trying to look past him as to see if the book was all right. Since they had not started the fire yet, the book wouldn't be burning, yet. It's not, it's just that. Kakashi stopped when he saw Naruto's shadow clone he used for recon to pull out some lighter fluid from the bag. Kyubi-chan, care to do the honors? the clone said, listening in whole conversation concerning the book. Kakashi started whimpering. With pleasure, Kyubi said as she started dumping the fluid on the logs. Kakashi watching in horror as some drops of fluid splattered all over his book. Kyubi blew some fire from her mouth on a stick she picked up off the ground and placed it over the fire pit. No! Kakashi screamed. I won't let you. Kakashi said, making a few hand seals and suddenly dropping underground. Naruto didn't have time to react as Kakashi bursted out of the ground next to the fire pit and grabbed his book. He began rubbing it against his cheek. I swear Daddy will never misplace you again. No he won't. No he won't. While that was going on, Naruto and Kyubi were staring at him with their eyes twitching like crazy now. After a moment of keeping the book against his cheek, Kakashi noticed both of them staring at him and tried to suddenly become serious. You see, we don't want to know. Kyubi and Naruto said in unison. Kakashi cleared his throat. Anyway, you are both dismissed. I'll go write the letter now to ask for reinforcements. Kakashi said, turning and walking inside his tent, with his precious book in hand. Anyway, I have to get ready. I'm probably going to have to take the first shift. Naruto said, heading towards his tent. It's alright, you two sleep. I can stay up all night. I got plenty of rest the other day. I only need to sleep 12 hours every week. I already got that this week, she said with the last part with a small perverted smile on her face. One that Naruto noticed immediately. Is she still? Naruto's thoughts trailed off and he shook his head to get the thoughts out of his head. Alright, if you're sure, Kyubi-chan. Naruto said, looking at Harem waiting for his confirmation. Yes. I am sure, Naruto-kun. With that, Naruto wished her a good night and went to lay down in his tent. After only an hour, Kyubi could hear snoring coming from Naruto's tent. She watched as Kakashi's light went off about an hour after Naruto's and heard light snoring a short time after that. She looked up at the sky. It's just like when she made 3 shadow clones. One to stay where she was in case anyone woke up, and the other 2 had specific orders. The real Kyubi walked away from the camp. The leaves were crunched and beaten beneath her feet as she stared at the sky. She stared at the stars, continuing to walk on the leaves until she heard no more sound. She heard no more crunching of leaves. She only heard the screeching, boisterous noise of silence. She looked down to see she was standing on a cliff. The forest here made over a 150-foot drop to the next section of forest. She leaned back her head and closed her eyes as she felt the wind blow each strand of her hair forward. Once the wind became calm again, she opened them to see the moon. She watched as the moonlight glazed the surface of the earth around her. Each plant and animal basking in the dim moonlight. She listened as the wind howled through the trees and screamed as it was cut by the leaves. Kushina-chan. Minato-kun. She thought as a tear came to her eyes. A smile crept across her face as she remembered the good time she spent with them. Laughter filled the air as Minato, Kushina, and Kyubi all laughed at the joke. Minato smiled as he stopped laughing and looked over at Kushina, who stared back at him. You know, Minato started reaching across the space that separated him and Kushina. Our son, he's going to grow up just like this. He's going to sit underneath the stars and he's going to look up just like we are now. I wonder what he's going to see. Minato said, the entire time rubbing Kushina's pregnant belly. He's going to see us watch over him all the time. Kushina said with a smile on her face. Minato turned to the second female in their party. What do you think he'll see, Kyubi-chan? Kyubi looked up at the stars. I really don't know. I'll assume he'll see stars just like we do. Kyubi said, smiling at them, letting them know it was a joke. They all made a know what Naruto-kun said about it not being my fault that you two are dead, but, if I had more control, then maybe. Short laugh. Seriously though. She continued. I think he'll look up to the stars for guidance. He'll wonder what his place is in this world. Kyubi paused for a moment. And I think he'll turn to you for advice. Minato smiled as he thought about his son. I hope they'll have my head built in time for his arrival because... Minato said, patting the stone beneath him. I don't know if I will always be there for him, and I always want a place for him to be close to me and look up at this sky and know that he's not alone. Both of them looked at him. I want him to be able to look up at the sky just like this and laugh and smile. But it wasn't meant to be like that, wasn't it, Minato-kun? Kyubi said, clenching her fists. Maybe he wouldn't have had to grow up without you. Kyubi clenched her fists tighter. And maybe you. She stared at the moon a moment longer. Then slowly lowered her head, as if in shame. You could have given him all that love you wanted to give him. Tears streaked down her cheeks. She tried to hold in the crying, but she found her body convulsing as she gasped for breath. She fell on her knees. Damn it all. She screamed as she placed her hand over her heart. She raised her fist and then slammed it into the ground. The ground neither flinched nor stirred, it remained as it always had, cold and unforgiving. Kakashi kept his distance as he watched the sight. He watched as Kyubi felt her emotions of sorrow and regret. He always knew she was kind at heart somewhere. She too had been shunned after the death of fourth Hokage, and it was believed that she was the cause of it. What hurt the most is that she used to be part of the village, but when it felt betrayed by her, it hated her. I guess she really does miss them a lot. Kakashi thought. I guess it was really wrong of me to bring him up in front of her. Kakashi let loose a sigh. He turned around to walk away when he noticed Naruto hiding behind a tree just a little further away than him. Did he hear everything? Kakashi thought. He looked back at her as he heard the crying stop. However, she said, looking back up at the moon. There is one thing you left him that he still carries. She paused as her eye filled up with tears. Love. She stated. Even after all he's been through, he still carries the love you both left him. Kyubi got back up and continued to stare at the moon. It's why. She took the hand that covered her heart and reached out towards the moon. She loosened her grasp and opened her hand as if to grab the moon. Kyubi smiled as she felt the rest of the memory hit her. I'm sure he will laugh and smile a lot. Kushina said, placing her hand over his. And we will give him all the love and support you will ever need. Believe it. Naruto-kun. Minato smiled at her. That we will. That we will. Minato said, looking up at the sky. Kyubi watched as they both felt so happy. Kyubi smiled as she remembered how happy they were, how much love they shared, not only with each other, but with the boy who had not even been born yet. I will carry your love for him too. I will love him like no one has. I know I already loved him before, but Kushina-chan. Minato-kun. I finally understand what made you so happy. It was being together with him. Now I feel the same way about him. I love him and I'll never let him go. She said, and with a big foxy grin she firmly yelled at the moon, believe it. Tears once again leaked from her eyes, but this time they were tears of joy. Maybe I was wrong, maybe he did inspire her enough. Kakashi thought. He looked back at Naruto. You really are something else. Naruto-kun. Kakashi got up and walked back to camp with a newfound hope that maybe she could resist any mind-controlling jutsu. Kyubi stood there staring at the moon with a smile. Suddenly she saw another hand being raised towards the moon next to her. She gasped as she saw who the arm belonged to. And I'll love her no matter what. Believe it. Naruto said, looking at her. Kyubi's eye continued to flow with tears of joy. She wrapped him in a hug. He let down his arm to embrace her. Mom, Dad, thank you. Naruto thought. Somewhere dark, the constant sound of a heart monster beeped as it always had, giving hope to those who listened. The echo bounced around the room, but only for a second before fading. Then another beep to reinsert that hope, but it too will fade. The woman who laid in the bed eyelids stirred as she awoke to the beeping sound. Her red hair fanned out across the hospital bed sheets and pillows. Her eyes wandered aimlessly trying to find whatever was calling her. But, what was calling her? She couldn't remember. She tried to get up but found it painful to try and sit up. Her memories slowly returning as she tried to remember what was going on. She remembered one name and one name only. Nar, Yuto-kun. My son. She said weakly. Her eyes widened remembering the attack that day. The day he ripped her from her stomach and killed her. Then why was she still alive? Why was she here in this room with wires and machines attached to her? Nothing made sense. Then a thought, the only name she knew since she awakened, where was he? Her eyes dashed from side to side as she called his name. Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun. She screamed as if her life depended on it. Suddenly the door flew open and a nurse hearing the screaming came in disbelief that she heard she was finally awake. The nurse stopped when her eyes and the woman in bed's eyes met. You're finally awake. The nurse cheered in excitement. The woman didn't know what she was talking about. Finally awake? Was I dreaming everything? She had so little of her memory. She didn't know why she felt this way about this Naruto person. Nothing made sense. The nurse ran down the hallway and up through the secret entrance in the bottom of the basement in the hospital. The nurse ran past many people who turned their heads to see this nurse running at full speed towards the Hokage Tower. Shizune saw the nurse running and tried to stop her to ask, but she flew up the stairs before she got a chance. There was no knock, no warning. The door and wall nearly turned to rubble as the nurse grabbed the handle and opened the door. Tsunade was sitting there when all this happened. At first she thought it was Naruto, but when she saw it was a nurse her anger increased. The sudden increase caused her to stand up and begin to pound on her desk as she yelled at the nurse. What is the meaning of this? The nurse just stood there out of breath. Tsunade-sama, she's awake. Tsunade had many patients at the hospital. Calm down damn it and tell me which one. Tsunade said watching the nurse huff and puff. As she gasped a deep breath, Kushina-chan, she's awake. Tsunade felt like she was just turned to stone. For Tsunade, seconds felt like hours going by trying to register this information. What did you just say? She said softly to the nurse's surprise. The nurse caught a few more breaths and responded. Kushina-chan, she's awake my lady. Tsunade couldn't believe it. She was finally awake, after 19 years? It had been a long time ago. Jiraiya and Tsunade were told Kushina was alive and they did visit her to pay their respects, but Tsunade felt helpless not being able to wake her up. Now it seems she finally woke up. She still remembered the day. The Kyubi no Kitsune is still upon us. Get the wounded back to the hospital and the children and women to the evacuation route. A shinobi barked to his squad as they all went and did as he said. Tsunade was help treating the wounded at the hospital that day. She worked on anything that looked life-threatening. Tsunade wiped the sweat off her brow, which was unprofessional since she wiped blood on her forehead. It was considered unprofessional because doctors shouldn't be wiping the blood of their patients on themselves. It wasn't sterile and it wasn't right. At the moment though, Tsunade didn't care. She was trying to save lives and he'll be damned if she couldn't. After just finishing on one shinobi she began to wash up and splash some water on her face to clean the dried blood on her forehead. Suddenly a nurse came in and spoke with her. Tsunade-sama, we have an emergency. Tsunade grew angry. In case you haven't noticed. Everything is an emergency. Tsunade screamed at the nurse. Please forgive me Tsunade-sama, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant we had a DOA come in and the man that brought her in was. The nurse didn't get to finish her statement as a man with spiky yellow hair, carrying two bodies appeared before her. Please forgive me Tsunade-sama, but you have to help her. Minato said. Sama? Since when did he give me such regards? Tsunade thought. Tsunade then noticed it was Kushina with blood on her mouth and obviously getting cold, meaning only one thing. Tsunade stopped splashing water and Minato laid her on the floor. Tsunade was frantic. She began to pour healing chakra into her without knowing what areas to do. What the hell happened to her? Tsunade demanded. The Kyubi no Kitsune was ripped out of her. Tsunade's eyes widened with shock and horror. Forgive me, Tsunade-sama, I tried so hard to stop him, but he's that powerful? Is that why she is doing this? That he is making her? Tsunade asked, still pouring chakra into her. It seems like that was his plan, and we couldn't have been less prepared. He killed every ANBU stationed around us and then came after her. After fighting with him, I eventually lost, and now she's dead. Please, you must revive her. The ground shook as more screams were heard outside. Minato grabbed his special kunai. I don't have any more time. You won't see me again, Tswanda, but... Minato looked down at Kushina's body. I have faith she will raise our son. I understand. Tsunade said, focusing on reviving Kushina. I'm glad. That was it. He was suddenly gone thanks to the jutsu that made him the yellow flash. Tsunade, after what seemed like forever, managed to get a pulse. Tsunade was excited that at least she could save Kushina, but something was wrong. Her pulse came back, but she didn't move. She didn't stir, and her breathing was minimal. Damn it. I failed to revive her in time. She could be just a vegetable or in a coma. I can't know right now. There are so many people who need my help, and I can't sit here working on one person. Please forgive me, Minato-kun. I won't be able to save Kushina if any of those are true. Tsunade began to help the other patients. When everyone who was treated for life-threatening injuries was stable, she went to go help out in the fight. She wanted to tell Minato she failed. She arrived to find Jiraiya over Minato's body, which she hurried over to check a pulse. Nothing. She shook her head as she started at the newborn baby crying in the rubble next to him. She asked what was to become of the boy. Jiraiya said it was Minato's final words, that Minato died for his son. He would live and become their grandchild. Tsunade would normally have smiled, but it was too sad to have failed two of her closest friends in one day. Please forgive me, both of you. Tsunade thought as tears fell from her eyes. Tsunade snapped out of her daydream and clenched her fist. Show me. She looked up at the nurse with what seemed to be anger. Now. The nurse bowed and signaled for Tsunade to follow. The nurse and Tsunade ran as fast as they could. People, buildings, everything became a blur except Tsunade's objective. She blew through the front door of the hospital, surprising everyone. She ran past everyone before they could ask what was going on. She ran down the hallway, down the secret stairs, and felt each echo in her ears almost as much as she heard her heart race. She came to a grinding halt in front of the door where she was supposed to lay. She stood as she slowly opened the door, her heart braced itself in for either case. As the door swung open, Tsunda's eyes widened. There was Kushina staring down at her sheets and opening and closing her hands as if she never knew what they were for. Kushina jolted at the loud noise after a momentary delay. Tsunade took quick notice of this. Tsunade tried to suck up her emotions and walked over to the bed. Kushina relaxed a bit, not sensing any immediate threat from Tsunade. Tsunade sat on the sheets next to her. I'm going to ask you a few questions and run a few tests. The test doesn't involve anything other than your cooperation, okay? Kushina nodded hesitantly but agreed. Okay, first thing, I want you to follow my finger with your eyes, okay? Kushina nodded. Tsunade balled her fist and stuck up a single finger. She then began to slowly move the hand side to side, but all the meanwhile watching Kushina's eyes follow her finger with no delay. Good. Just a few more. Next test is I'm going to say something and you tell me the first thing that come to mind, okay? Kushina nodded yet again. Cat. Dog. Red. Blood. Animal. Pet. You're doing fine. Family. Kushina delayed in her answer but spoke it softly, too softly for Tsunade to hear. Naruto. Say again. Kushina's felt like she was in pain as she tried hard to remember what happened to her and this person she knew. Naruto, I remember. Naruto. Tsunade was surprised but wondered if that's all she remembered or if she remembered it all. What about Naruto-kun? I see him, laying in my arms. There is another man there with me. I'm sorry. I can't think of anything else. Tsunade understood. It's okay Kushina-chan, you will remember it with time. Tsunade said hopefully. I want to see Naruto. I remember him and I remember being happy when he was in my arms. I think he's my son. Kushina said. He is, but he's not here right now. For now let's get you checked out, okay? Kushina looked down at her arms and began to remember seeing him again in her arms, cradling the newborn in her arms. Then where is he? Kushina asked, still staring at her hands. Tsunade wouldn't answer that, considering she didn't want to be on the other end of a Kushina beatdown if she ever told him he's off risking his life nearly every day, against overwhelming odds, and most of the time winning. At the base camp, a day passed and after still no sign of a messenger bird back from Tsunade, Kakashi told both Kyuubi and Naruto to stay around camp, but they are free to do anything they wanted so long as it wouldn't give away their position. Kakashi wanted to use this time to relax because he knew a battle was coming soon and last thing he needed was for them to waste their strength on staying alert and spying. Kakashi knew there was more to meet the eye than what they saw, but what it was, he had no idea what they were really in for. Kakashi began to read his book inside his tent. I know that those two need time to talk. Despite being ninja, his feelings could get in the way of the mission. While it is bad, I'm more fearful of him doing something reckless and hurting himself. In all the years I've known him I've still got a soft spot for him. Not something I thought I would have for him considering how he used to be, but that's Uzumaki Naruto for you. His mind wandered off. And you too Kushina. While Kakashi daydreamed and looked at his book, Naruto and Kyuubi were in their tent. Naruto was stripping down to his boxers while Kyuubi was watching him aroused. You almost ready Kyuubi-chan? Naruto asked excitedly at her. Kyuubi had too many perverted thoughts in her mind right now to give him a straight answer. However, Naruto stared at her hoping to hear an answer. Yeah, I'm ready Naruto-kun. She said seductively, but the seduction was ignored by the blonde-haired boy. Good, let's get going. Naruto said, leaving the tent, leaving Kyuubi to mumble to herself. I'd love to get it going, but you won't hold still. Kyuubi sighed. She looked at his shed clothes. She glided her fingers cautiously on the fabric, as if the fabric would become bathed in flame if she touched it harder. Her eyes wandered downwards as she stroked the fabric. Slowly her eye dimmed and she closed her eyes. As she held her eyes closed she grasped the fabric and began to crush it in her hand. Her fist clenched tighter and tighter. Finally she heard footsteps towards the tent and quickly straightened herself out. Suddenly the figure leaned up against the tent, book in hand, and spoke. You know that Naruto-kun is already halfway to the river by now, right? Kakashi asked, keeping his eye on the tent. Kyuubi, yeah. I'm almost ready. Don't you dare be peeking, you pervert. Don't worry, I'm not. Kakashi let a silence befall them for a moment before continuing. Listen, you may not like me, but regardless, I still consider my relationship with Naruto to be very close. He's been through a lot, as I'm sure you know. I don't want to see him hurt by you. There was a short silence followed by a hand being placed around Kakashi's neck. Kakashi now stared into the eyes of an extremely pissed-off Kyuubi. The choke she had on him was special, allowing just enough air to breath, yet hard enough to make him choke. Listen to me. I love Naruto-kun. If you dare to ever make the accusation that I don't, I will rip out your throat and spine. There is not a fiber of my being that doesn't love him. She stared at the Jonin struggle for a moment. After another brief moment she calmed her anger and placed him down, then let him go. I won't say I'm sorry for that. Just know that it's very personal to me if anyone even makes the assumption that I don't love him. Kakashi struggled to regain his breath but managed to cough out some words. Got it. After Kakashi started breathing normally, he began to think about that look in her eye. He started to understand something about her he never knew before. That look in her eyes not only bared hurt, but bared sadness of some sort. What sadness? Only she knows. Kakashi saw Kyuubi disappear after Naruto and thought to himself. What in the world is she hiding? Elsewhere. Naruto dashed from tree to tree on all fours until he reached the stream. He looked around to find the perfect spot. He found an excellent spot in the shade, almost making it the illusion of night time. Naruto jumped in and Naruto laid his head on the rock in the cold stream. He wished this was a hot spring, though the water still served its purpose of helping to cleanse him. The water that granted life to many animals and humans, now purged his body of its impurities. He closed his eyes and began to meditate. He relaxed and held tightly on the rocks, but completely relaxing his lower body, allowing the stream's current, though small behind the rocks, try to bring his body with it as it flowed, forcing his lower body to raise slightly. Naruto felt this and kept himself relaxed. Kyubi watched this from her spot in the bushes. She watched him and began to sneak up on him. Soon she found herself in the water with him and in the same small place he was in. Even though she was a master of stealth, Naruto could feel her presence the moment she touched the water near him. "Hello, Kyubi-chan," Naruto said quietly, making sure to keep his body relaxed. At first Kyubi was surprised but then realized how he sensed her. He was channeling his sage chakra to feel the world around him. She smiled softly and cuddled up against him. Naruto closed his eyes and smirked, as did she. "You do know, Kyubi-chan, you didn't have to be naked, right?" Kyubi looked at him, to only see he was already expecting her gaze to his eyes. "Maybe, but I love to feel your heartbeat and your warmth. I love holding you in my arms with all my heart and never wanting to let go. I can't do any of that with clothes. Besides, you know me and clothes." Naruto smiled. "Yeah, I do." Back at the hidden leaf, Tsunade didn't know how to answer Kushina. Should she tell her son is a ninja and risks his life every day? Then again, most ninja parents would be proud of what Naruto has accomplished. Tsunade got lost in thought. Kushina, on the other hand, seemed to be reading every expression on her face. She thought the worst first. "Is my son dead?" Kushina asked bluntly. Tsunade looked into her eyes. She wanted to know the truth and was even possibly ready to accept it. "Shizun, I hope you have a lot of sake ready for me. I'll need it after this." Tsunade thought as she sighed. "No. He's a ninja." Kushina was slightly relieved, then again that raised more questions. A ninja? Suddenly something sparked into her mind as she began remembering her homeland being destroyed, her meeting Minato, her being the container of the Kyubi. Everything came flying at her like a brick to the forehead. After the brick hit, she grabbed her head in pain. She began screaming uncontrollably like she was caught in Itachi's genjutsu. Tsunade quickly realized she gained her memory back. First thing she did was try and calm her down. "Settle down, Kushina." Tsunade held her down as seconds passed like minutes and minutes seemed like hours. Tsunade kept having to pump chakra into her arms because Kushina was kicking and screaming as her body relived all the pains and pleasures of her life. After 5 minutes the screaming suddenly stopped. Tsunade took this time to catch her breath and check on her vitals. "She's still alive." Tsunade wanted to provoke a response of some sort. "Kushina-chan, are you okay?" At first there was no answer. Kushina just laid there with no movement as if she were dead. "Kushina-chan are." Tsunade was cut off. "Minato-kun, is he dead?" Tears rolled down her cheeks. Kushina bit her lip knowing the answer. Tsunade quickly turned away from her. "I'm sorry, Kushina-chan. He left you here and then disappeared. I found him later dead." Kushina knew it. He whispered in her ear before she went unconscious. Naruto lay sleeping in the crib. Minato and Kushina made their last declarations, wishing Naruto all the world. Kushina felt Minato's chakra rise as he finished. He whispered back to her, "You might not make it, Kushina-chan, to see him grow. But you will always be there for him. One of us has to." She slowly slipped into unconsciousness as she remembered seeing bright lights, and mumbled talking. "He died protecting me and Naruto. While he died for what he believed in, he should have taken me with him too." She began to break out crying as she blamed herself for everything that happened. "Kushina-chan. Kushina-chan." Listen to me. Tsunade said angry. However, Kushina chose to ignore her. Naruto-kun is alive. He's alive and well. Kushina, while not stop crying, pushed aside her tears and the tears fell slower. You're right. I have to be strong for Naruto-kun. Gears turned in her mind as tears stopped falling altogether. Then something sparked. Wait, you said Naruto-kun was ninja. Does that mean I've been out for 5 years? Tsunade thought she had finally calmed her down when she pulls this. Listen Kushina-chan, there is something I need to tell you. Before Tsunade could continue she heard Shizen screaming after her. Tsunade-sama. Tsunade-sama. Shizen ran into the room since she checked all her normal procrastination places. Shizen gasped as she saw Kushina on the bed. For a moment she thought she was dreaming. Could Kushina be awake at last? Kushina-chan. Shizen called. You're awake. Kushina smiled at the newcomer and just stared. Do I know you? Tsunade smiled in relief. Thank Kami Shizen. Hopefully this will take your mind off how long you've been out. Of course not, I wasn't with Tsunade-sama at the time, how silly of me. Anyway, how are you feeling? Kushina just smiled. I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Really? I would think you wouldn't be doing so great after 20 years of being in a coma. Tsunade froze. Kami, damn it Shizen. 20 years. Kushina spoke softly. Tsunade clenched her fist. I was just getting to that Shizen-chan. Tsunade shot Shizen a death glance. Shizen backed up a few feet and ran into the wall. I'm sorry Tsunade-sama, I thought you told her. Sorry. Tsunade knew that to be true but should know better to see what Kushina knew before blurting things out like that. Damn Shizen-chan. I just got her calmed down and you just had to tell her that, huh? Why are you down here anyway? Shizen regained her posture and, thought scared, handed the letter to Tsunade. Naruto-kun team is reporting and requesting a small backup squad. Despite Naruto's power, the enemy numbers are in the tens of thousands. Even with clones, it'll take a lot out of them before they reach the boss. Meanwhile Tsunade quickly read the letter. Go tell Team 5 that they. Judging that she's asking you to send teams, I'll take it you're the new Hokage Tsunade-sama. Tsunade nodded slightly. Then send me. Kushina said boldly. Tsunade and Shizen looked over at her in surprise. The next few moments were thick between Kushina and Tsunade as they stared each other down. No. Tsunade gambled that it would settle that matter. Of course she was always bad at gambling. Tsunade-sama, I am a ninja of the hidden leaf. I have not been on a mission since 20 years ago. I request this one. Kushina stared at her with such an attitude that reminded her of only one person she and Shizen knew. Naruto-kun. Tsunade carefully played scenarios in her head in which she sent her on this mission. Most of them did not look good. I'm still denying your request. Kushina opened her mouth to yell at Tsunade but she placed a finger over her mouth. However, if you agree to take a team with you, I will approve. Kushina smiled. Fine. If that's what it takes. Tsunade-sama. With all due respect, she shouldn't be in service or out of the hospital in that condition. Shizen exclaimed. First off Shizen-chan, all ninja are in service until a Hokage says they aren't or they die. No Hokage ever signed her discharge papers, therefore she is in active service. Considering last time I checked I am the Hokage means I can send her on whatever mission I want. Second, even if I wanted to keep her here under surveillance and restraints she is as stubborn as he is. She'd be out of here in less than an hour. Shizen knew exactly who she was talking about. Well, she is his mother and all. Shizen said with a mask of smiles. She didn't like the idea but she was right. Kushina-chan. Shizen started. Kushina, excited from the news, turned to her with a confused face. Could you at least let us run a physical on you? Kushina sighed. Will it get you guys off my back? She responded with arrogance. Yeah. Tsunade responded. I was going to ask you the same thing. Fine. Do your tests then, I'm going like it or not. Kushina clenched her fist and smiled as she said that. This action made them both start laughing. Kushina was confused when they started laughing. Definitely his mother. Shizun said, walking out of the room. Back with Naruto and Kyubi. Naruto gazed into the sky, almost getting lost in how vast it is. It was at this time that he noticed something. That his arm was warm and the rest of his body was freezing. Feeling this, he suddenly put his arms around his chest, causing Kyubi to react. She just distanced herself from him just enough to still keep her body close to him to feel his warmth and yet so far as to see what was wrong. Naruto began to shiver. Speaking of warmth, this stream is cold. Kyubi just chuckled softly. She figured he was thinking something, then said part of it out loud. She reached over to his pelvis with one hand and with the other pointed it towards the stream as she began to channel fire element chakra into the stream, causing it to warm then steam. He couldn't help but feel slightly turned on by the gesture, however he still nervously smiled at Kyubi. After the stream was warm, she turned back to him with a smile. Of course that's not all I have to warm now, is it? What do you? Before he could answer, her lips were pressed against his. He didn't have time to respond to her invasion as her tongue blitzkrieged his mouth and claimed victory over his mouth. As part of its dominance, it played with his tongue. After a moment she departed from his lips as they stared at each other. Kyubi smiled devilishly.